My husband chose to live with his mother and visit me instead of the other way around.
M-A-M-A-B-O-I.
I, 30 female, and my husband, 35 male, have been married for a year and recently relocated back to India. We were living and working abroad, and I lost my job last year, after which we decided to register our marriage so I could continue to live there as a dependent. Earlier this year, my husband got offered a role in India, which he thought would be great for his career, and the move would also help settle some house matters back home. By the way, this comes from user deleted on the r/marriage subreddit. So I was reluctant to move back, but did so because I could not find a job due to visa restrictions. He lives in Delhi, where my industry and job profile barely have any jobs. So we agreed that I would apply to other cities and one of us would move to the other within a year's time. We also agreed that we would only live in India for the next 3 to 4 years and we should move out again. We decided we would not be in a long distance marriage indefinitely while living in India. Fast forward to the current situation. I now live with my sister's family and work in Bangalore in the best tech company. I have raised a transfer request with my employer to move me to Delhi, even though I have barely been with the company for 4 months and haven't yet built credibility. I haven't gotten my own house because I'm waiting to hear back on the request. I'm doing my part as promised. We recently had a team level restructuring and seems like my transfer request may get rejected due to the location strategy they have for my team, but nothing is confirmed yet. My husband, on the other hand, has been living in Delhi with his mother and maternal grandmother. He hates his new role, but is holding on despite working 15 to 16 hours a day.
Oh my gosh.
Because he thinks he might be able to relocate in 3 years. But that's not guaranteed. That is a
risk.
It's a long time for no guarantee.
Yeah, that's a lot of your life. With what I'm seeing here, they are more worried about the destination rather than the journey. They're putting a lot of emphasis on getting to that destination, thus using a lot of that time to work so they can get to the destination rather than enjoying the journey of like, hey, we were here for 3 years. This is the life that we poured into ourselves.
Exactly. It's about the journey. I also think it's because he has never worked for any other company and is scared of rejection. We try and meet each other 2 times a month, and his job gives him more flexibility to travel and work from other locations, while mine has stricter policies. As mentioned earlier, he needed to settle some matters back home. They wanted to sell off their old house and buy a new one in Gurgaon. This is currently in progress and expected to be completed in 6 months. But the plan is to eventually move out of India in a few years. Buying a new house when you do not intend to live there long term does not make sense to me, but it wasn't my decision to make. Well, OP, you're right. That doesn't make any sense. We were discussing what we would do if my transfer request didn't go through. To me, the answer was clear based on the terms we had discussed before moving back to India. It makes sense for him to look for a new job in Bangalore, considering he hates his current job and he has very limited options in Gurgaon. I understand that he would need to be with his mother and grandmother in the new house until they get comfortable with the surroundings, but that shouldn't take more than 3 to 6 months after moving in.
I don't like that because once people get comfortable where they live, they have patterns and they have habits that they make. And every day, 40% of the choices that we make are off of the habits we have already created. So they're not going to want to move out.
Ooh, bars.
Yep.
You just dropped a nice little bar. All in all, 1 year from now, it was expected for him to move in with me. To my surprise, he said he will not be able to move to Bangalore and is uncomfortable leaving his mother alone. The ideal situation in his head is for him to live with his mother in Gurgaon and to continue to travel and see me once or twice a month and continue long distance indefinitely. He thinks I should be the one to move to Gurgaon and has also previously hinted that I should look for jobs there despite being the one who hates his job. I can't switch roles currently since I'm new in the company and it would take at least 2 years for that to happen. Additionally, my company does not have jobs in my profile in Gurgaon. I have tried everything from my end and he is unwilling to do his part. His mother and grandmother have been living in Delhi for a long time while he was living abroad for the last 7 years. They've been on their own for the last 2, and somehow it didn't bother him then. He had told me when we were dating that if we moved anywhere next, his mom would come along and our choice of places would not just depend on our careers, but also on whether the country would allow his mom to stay with us as a dependent. I was and am fully on board with that. She's She's a lovely lady. I've tried communicating my needs and setting boundaries. I should call out that I'm not the best at communicating my feelings and say silly things when I feel misunderstood. I may have said a few things that I shouldn't have. I told him that I miss our life abroad because it was so much easier when it was just us two and there were no obligations. And this is true. We barely fought. I also told him that I was unaware that if his mom and I were in different locations, he would choose to live with her and visit me instead of the other way around. Now he just thinks I'm an a-hole and wants him to leave his mother, or he's just manipulating me. I don't know. I told him I have made peace with the fact that we may never live together in India. I haven't really. Well, then why would you say that? And we'll be moving out of my sister's house if I get a rejection for my transfer request and get my own house in Bangalore because I have put my life on pause, just waiting for this to happen, and it doesn't feel good. We had planned to get a dog together if I moved to Gurgaon. I said I would get one in Bangalore to keep me company while I'm living alone, and he got furious that I was only thinking about myself and not about us as a team because a dog would be an obligation for me when I have to visit Gurgaon, which is anyway is going to be limited given the company's policies.
Yeah, that's a lot of work on you keeping up with the dog.
It's been a week of crying and arguing and being invalidated for how I've been feeling. But you know what? We'll never invalidate the way you're feeling. If you join us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, all you got to do is tap our profile and you're in. And if you're watching this in the future, we might even be live right now, but hold your horses before you go check on that because we're going to finish this story right after we collect our thoughts.
This is a long distance relationship.
Like, bad husband for not being like, I understand that you're upset. I can empathize, like, wanting to make sure that your mom and your grandma is okay, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if they're, I don't think we got a super, we didn't get a ton of context on, like, how they are medically or if they're, like, healthy or not. But it's like, once your parents start to get older, it's like, you start to become a little more acutely aware of, like, oh, like, I want to be able to be around in case they need help. So I think he should acknowledge that that's how she feels. But if he really wants to, like, be as close as possible to there, I don't know if you can, you could be upset about that. I mean, it feels bad to not be chosen as, like, his wife. And it feels bad that this plan is undoing, but it's like, I don't know if I'd ever call someone an a-hole because they're like, I want to be able to take care of my mom and grandma. But in this context, it's like, I don't know.
He's putting the
more
mom and the grandma
solutions need to be brought forth.
He's putting the mom and the grandma over his wife. He's prioritizing them over his wife. And it's like, when in your life are you going to prioritize your wife? And that's what she's feeling. This is what she's saying. She's not being prioritized. It's like, hey, maybe we can do this and also help you out here. Because is this actually his sole responsibility? Doesn't he have other siblings that can help out?
Yeah,
does he have other people, other support systems? He's taking this all on himself and not really considering the wife's feelings and concerns. And they're married.
And, tough spot.
And if you're married and it seems like they're married and he's choosing long distance as a choice, not like this is what it is. He chose this.
So just Jenny Larson says, where was that concern for 7 years? Again, that's why I'm in my head. I'm thinking, like, what's going on with the health?
Yeah.
Maybe he goes back home and he realizes, things are maybe a little more bad than I anticipated.
Yeah.
And that can happen sometimes. But also, this is Ugg says, your spouse has to be number one.
Yep.
Which, if you are like, we're going to move to India and get a house together in a year, and then you're like, actually, I think I'm going to live with my mom and grandma for probably 3 years, and then I'll be able to leave the job I hate. It's like, I understand OP being upset. I married this guy because we were always on the same page about what we wanted in life. Moving back to India wasn't one of them, and it seems to have changed how he thinks, and I'm having to deal with things I didn't agree to. Be honest with me and tell me if I'm being an a-hole. I don't know what to do. I feel so disconnected and resentful towards him. I mean, I don't think you're being an a-hole necessarily. It's just like the whole situation sucks. It's like you can't find a job in the town that he lives in, and it's like the real solution here would be like, he needs to find a job in your town and move his parents or his mom and his grandma into your town.
And that he starts enjoying the journey rather than the destination. If you are working really hard for the destination, you're going to burn out. And then you're not going to be able to enjoy the destination when you make it there.
Expectations that we build in our own heads are.
And it's
the
not even
root of
guaranteed. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
It's not even guaranteed. He's working this hard.
Yeah.
That's a risk, bro. That's a risk.
Right. What happens after year 3 and
Yep.
it's like, hey, just kidding. We need you here for another 3 years.
Yeah.
Then what? You've wasted 3.
That's the end of that story.
But yes, that is the end of that story.
I refuse to go on the family trip because my family wants to bring my daughter's bully.
Yeah, that's going to be a hard no for me, Sharks.
That's another no from me, Sharks. I, 43 male, am really close to my family, consisting of my siblings, their spouses, their kids, and my parents. Every year we go on a vacation this time of year for 2 weeks and come back right before Christmas. We're supposed to leave a week from today. By the way, this comes from Natural Mountain 641 on the OK Storytime subreddit. I am the divorced, single, sole parent to my daughter, 15 female. She jokingly calls herself a nerd. She's weird. She's quirky. Have you ever seen her without this hat? She likes anime and video games and Star Wars. The whole stereotypical nerd thing. She sounds freaking cool, man.
Yeah, hey.
She does get bullied at school. But since leaving middle school and growing up a little more, she started taking it better, and mostly it stopped. That sucks. She was like, yeah, I just started taking the bullying, and then they eventually gave up.
Which is like, sometimes that's just how that goes.
This one boy, who I'll call Jeff, 16 male, presumably, and is coincidentally my nephew's, who's also sort of an a-hole best friend, is an absolute nightmare. I've talked to the school. We've had meetings with his parents. She's switched around classes extensively, but he still goes out of his way to pick on Emily. She's told me herself that she can deal with name-calling, but it doesn't stop there. He pulls her hair, rips her clothes, destroys her things. Like, this kid is a full-fledged nightmare.
Absolute failure, yeah. Like, that's like assault. You're being physically assaulted. Like, should not be like
And if you can, move your daughter out of this school, because I don't know if they're not doing anything and she's receiving this behavior, it's dangerous for her. They even got into a fist fight that they were both suspended for last year because he stole her backpack and put it into a full toilet in the boys' bathroom. I mean, what is the school doing? Honestly, good for her for getting into a fist fight right back.
I got out of public education like right around the time when everything started to make absolutely no sense in regards to all that, where it's like, basically, if you retaliate against your bully, it's like you're the one who actually gets the detention and they don't, which is, what are we doing? Like, what is that?
When I was discussing plans with my sister, she brought up needing to buy Jeff a winter coat. When I realized he was going on the trip, I actually almost lost it. I told her, admittedly, without thinking, that we weren't going. And she began begging me, talking about tradition and family and blah, blah. I said, no. I'll eat my portion of the cost, but we're not going. After a longer conversation, I said, I'll go if they disinvite Jeff. We are well off, and we are lucky to have grown up in a financially stable home with parents who are attentive and supportive, and for our kids to have done the same. Jeff was not that lucky. He lives in a really unstable environment, both financially and emotionally, which is probably why, doesn't give him any excuse, but it is probably why he is reacting or acting out this way.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
This was apparent to me from the meetings with his parents, as his father did not care, and his mother blamed my daughter for being evil, and these were multiple separate meetings. This is awful, and I'm sorry that Jeff or any child has to go through that, but I told my sister that my position still stands. The conversation went back and forth, and mostly just her throwing excuses. Jeff has divorced parents. He grew up different than us. Maybe it's just a crush. Ew. So on and so forth. When I reminded her of the fight, she said, I know, but Jeff needs this. OP's daughter needs to feel safe.
Yeah, this guy's like, it's not just words. It's like, we're talking about sticks and stones, and those break bones.
She mentioned how he needed a break from his toxic home life, and I respect that, but why does that mean I have to put my daughter in a house with her tormentor for 2 weeks? I told her I wasn't changing my mind and went home. Now there is pure chaos. My family is split. My parents are begging me to go. I'm getting texts near constantly. My daughter told me she's not going if Jeff is going. She had a full-blown panic attack over it. Maybe I'm looking for validation, or maybe I really need a wake-up call and I'm just a selfish a-hole. You are not the a-hole at all for protecting your daughter. Top reply, hold firm. I'd say, since when does our family reward egregious behavior? Reply from OP says, excellent wording, thank you. And then a commenter says, not the a-hole, Jeff's situation may be tragic, but your priority should always be your daughter, and it sounds like you've got your priorities straight. Stick to your stance. Jeff is not your responsibility, and asking you to sacrifice your daughter's mental well-being for a child who has repeatedly tormented her is downright cruel. I'm guessing he hasn't even apologized or showed remorse, and they expect you and your daughter to roll over for him just because he has it tough? Time for him to learn a tough lesson not to take his problems out on others. Reply from OP says, no real apology, no. They had to read each other apology letters for their suspension, but that's it.
What do you mean each other? Why is she apologizing to this kid?
As I said, it's really sad that a child is struggling in the way Jeff is, but my kid doesn't need to pay for that. There is no consensus, but OP was not the a-hole. And there is an update, but you are not in the wrong for protecting your child.
It's crazy. It makes me so mad that she had to write an apology letter. What does she have to be sorry for?
Hi, everyone. I hope you're good. I have an update/resolution that I figured I'd share, though truth be told, it's a bit anticlimactic. Before I start, I want to say thank you for anyone who put in their 2 cents. I appreciate all of the comments, though I got overwhelmed with attention very quickly. I'm sorry if any questions remain unanswered. There were a lot of comments. I am still trying to maintain some anonymity, but I am happy to answer any questions that don't impede on that. Night before last, my 3 siblings, their spouses, and my parents all gathered at my sister's house to talk this through. I very immaturely sort of walked in with a mild attitude. I knew I wasn't going to change my mind. I felt like this was a waste of time, but my daughter keeps expressing to me how badly she wants to go on the trip, so I went. I started off with my sister and my mom crying and just asking me to go, but that got shut down really fast by pretty much everyone else. My sister expressed that she just felt so bad for Jeff. Again, he's lower class with a mother who treats him like a baby and a father that doesn't care. She mentioned that Jeff and Emily have been polite to each other in the presence of family and figured they were getting over their issues. I did find out that the waiver he was on extended to his tuition, despite being told that it was for his uniforms and school supplies, so my apologies on an incorrect comment I made. Regardless, she was trying to convince me and my entire family to allow Jeff to come. I really do get it, and I am a person who can experience empathy sometimes to a fault. But for the millionth time, my empathy towards Jeff and his situation does not overpower my need to protect my daughter. As her only parent, it is literally my duty to make sure she is safe, and this is not safe. Thanks to a comment, I did say, my daughter does not feel safe around Jeff. To which my brother-in-law, the sister in question's husband, replied, well, that settles it. Good on the brother-in-law.
Yes,
good on the brother-in-law.
That should be exactly what... no other attitude is admissible in that context.
The only adult who wanted Jeff to go was my sister. The only people who wanted me to compromise and go and ignore Jeff were my mother and sister-in-law. Everyone else was adamant that Jeff did not go. No one knew he was invited, and it wasn't until I sent in the group chat that I would not be attending because of Jeff's presence that anyone, including my sister's husband, knew Jeff was going. Someone's got to tell everyone about Jeff.
Yeah, do they just not know? Or does no one know about Jeff?
No one knows about Jeff.
We need to talk about Jeff.
My father, who is actually a therapist, has been ridiculously supportive throughout this whole thing. He explained his reasoning for not wanting Jeff there besides the obvious. My nephew mentioned to him that Jeff does like Emily. I hate that mindset. I hate that. And if his mindset is dysfunctional, as we are led to believe, he's not currently capable of expressing that to Emily in a healthy way. Well, he's not. He's pulling her pigtails, but in a very violent manner.
Yeah, let's maybe tell him that that's the wrong way, even if he doesn't know, can't
He's 15 years old.
The right way.
He's 15 years old. That is not, I mean, it's never acceptable behavior, but it's surely not at all. Note, my sister tried to, I told you so about the crush, but I literally laughed at her. I really honestly don't care if he has a crush on my daughter. He's so awful to her. She takes it like a champ. She holds her head up high, and I'm so proud of her for that. But that doesn't change the fact that Jeff has been so sincerely awful to her that it makes me sick.
Shout out Jan Digital. Plot twist, it was Jeff Goldblum.
No, Jeff would never do that.
He is okay with everything that he's done.
No, Jeff!
No, wait, somebody wake me up! Jeff Goldblum's a bully!
It was ultimately decided that Jeff was not going. Thanks to another comment I saw, I did tell her that she was doing a great thing by trying to help this boy, but her niece came before him in this situation. I brought up that Jeff might retaliate against Emily, again, thanks to another comment, for being disinvited, so we did come up with a plan, sort of. My nephew had to tell him at school the next day that Jeff was no longer invited because he didn't want him and Emily to get into a fight. I thought that was a dumb plan, I'm not going to lie, but as long as the blame was off of Emily, I didn't care. We left for the night. Both Emily and I hugged my sister. She apologized. It was generally okay. I'm still frustrated with her for trying to be this boy's savior at the risk of my daughter. And we have yet to have that conversation, but I'm sure it will come with time. My mother told Emily that she was sorry for seemingly wanting to subject her to Jeff, and she didn't mean to come off that way. She simply wanted us to come. I am still frustrated with my mom, but again, a conversation to come with time. I told my daughter not to get her hopes up because part of me still didn't believe that Jeff was really not going to go, but we proceeded with cautious optimism. In the meantime, I spoke with my lawyer friend who did advise me not to go on the trip if Jeff was going, and not to speak to him or his parents directly. No problem there. I had resigned to not going, and I had no interest in talking to anyone. Additionally, my sister's husband and I had a long talk about how he was really disappointed in her for this. That's not my business, but I was happy that he was still fiercely protective of my daughter as I always thought he was. Good uncle.
Yes.
Good uncle. I have to give my nephew props because he took the news well, although he was disappointed. He understands that what Jeff does is wrong, but I'm still not really sure why he puts up with it, besides that he's a teenager who doesn't want to lose his friend. So this leads us to last night. Emily shows me a message from my nephew that just says, "So Jeff backed out, LMAO," and that's it. Get this, Jeff didn't know that Emily was going.
No way.
My nephew went to tell him what was up, and he got as far as saying Emily's going to be there before Jeff backed out. I spoke to my nephew, who said Jeff just got weird and said he couldn't go, and they left it at that.
Problem solved. He was like, no, never mind. I'm not going to go.
Jeff seemed disappointed, and I do feel sorry for him. We might get into a fist fight, and she's so strong. But again, my daughter comes first to me. My brother-in-law only sent me laughing emojis. Initially, I was still not sure if I'd go because a lot of comments suggested I should not go on principle. With that being said, my daughter said she'd rather go on this trip even after I tried to suggest we do something else. So now we're going. If you want to check out full episodes with stories like this, just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime. Boom! There we go. Woo!
Tie it up with a little bow.
That's really it. Sorry it's so long, and I wish it was more exciting, but it is not. I think it was pretty good. I tried to put emphasis on the conversation with my family because that was the important part, but even then, we were just standing around my sister's kitchen talking. No big confrontation or anything. Just have a fist fight.
Yeah, just, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Exhibition match.
Yeah.
Jeff and Emily.
Jeff Goldblum.
And we're going to stream it. It's going to be bigger than Jake Paul and Mike Tyson.
Regardless, have a good day and a happy holiday season. Thank you for reading and for all the advice. I do appreciate it. And that is the end of that story.
I do appreciate your advice and all of your eyeballs gazing at my words, said O.
My dynamic with my boyfriend is toxic. I finally see the truth.
Looks like someone needs to get out of there.
Hi, Reddit. I would really like some advice if you guys have any. I'm sorry if this seems a little messy. I'm writing this at work. A little background, my boyfriend, 22, and I, 23, have been together for 3 years. Just recently, 6 months long distance for him to go to school because his dad said that he would pay for it. By the way, this comes from Toe Tethers on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm always trying to support what my boyfriend does. He doesn't like his dad, and I offered to take on more clients at work to help him pay for school if he didn't want to rely on his dad, but he thought it would be easier to move states for his dad to pay. It's been a bit of a rocky road for us. When we've gotten into arguments or when I've brought up my feelings, it's always, "You're straight up mean to me," and "Why are your feelings so much about you?" And "What makes the relationship so bad? What do I need to do?" It would always end up in me apologizing and changing my behavior so that I don't make him upset, and I've gotten to the point where I'm very closed off towards him. After an argument, it was either I should act a certain way or my boyfriend would be overly kind and messages were very lovey-dovey until I did something wrong again.
Love bombing.
Exactly. That's tall or sure signs of a toxic or abusive relationship.
Very
it's
tall.
the high highs and low lows. Get out of there, girl. I also would like to add that my boyfriend wants to FaceTime every night through the entire night, like to sleep on call every night. He also had me cut ties with all of my male friends because they're guys. That's reason enough. I hate it when people do that.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous.
Like, why? Why even do that?
That's so ridiculous because, like, I went on 2 dates with one guy that wanted me to do that, like, right off the bat.
Wait, do what?
Like, cut off guy friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he didn't want me to do it yet, but he was like, if this turned into anything, that's what I'm going to expect of you. And I was like, okay, so listen, I'm bisexual. Does that mean I have to have no friends ever?
And she talks to so many girls. It's kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, because they're my friends. But,
They are?
yes. But like that just doesn't make sense at all because it's like, what, am I just not gonna have any friends? And it's just such a silly willy thing.
Because if you can't trust your partner who's of the opposite sex to be with their version of the opposite sex or whoever they're attracted to, do you really need to be around
Yeah, if
them?
you don't trust someone, you shouldn't be together.
Exactly.
Absolutely not. Like, you're not going to change. If you don't trust someone, you're not going to change them into someone you do trust.
Yeah, exactly.
So, anyway.
Yeah. But am I going to put my girlfriend in a room with Vi and Caitlin? No, I'm not. I'm going to try to avoid that if at all possible.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. Let me clarify. The one guy friend that I had already been friends with for 4 years previously, he would always help me when I would move. My dad even considers him a close family friend. My boyfriend just didn't understand that my friend and I's friendship was platonic. My birthday was earlier this month, and my childhood friend that lives in a different state just had a baby 2 weeks ago and was able to mail me a birthday card. My boyfriend told me that he went shopping the day before my birthday and bought me a nice shirt at Zoomies and told me that he would give it to me the next time we see each other. About 2 weeks ago, when I finally brought up all the stuff that had been bothering me, I told my boyfriend that I needed time and space to figure things out. I told him no calling that night, and I woke up to a bunch of messages from my boyfriend saying that he misses me and loves me, back to FaceTime calls during the night the next day. I brought up my friend that he made me stop talking to, and he says, you can talk to whoever you want. I also brought up how I was hurt that he said that I'm mean to him when I was just trying to explain my feelings, that he told me that he was sorry and that he was just in a bad mood. You know, I saw something recently that said, like, if he couldn't speak, would you fall in love with his actions?
Ooh.
And I thought that was a really good one.
Dude, you know what else I saw?
Huh.
That's kind of like in that version.
Yeah.
Is would you want miniature versions of them to exist in this world? Like,
What does that mean?
would you want this man to have children, or would you want this person to have children just like them?
Absolutely.
Like, ooh.
Yeah. Would you, or something that I've thought of too is like if you're with someone, like, would you want your future children with this person, if that were to happen, know that they were treating you that way, and for that to be like an okay example, like, yeah, he was treating me this way, but it's okay, we stayed together, because then they would repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So many good ways to look at it. Anyway, he has been super lovey-dovey since the conversation 2 weeks ago. Using emojis he never really used. Overly supporting example, he told me good job when he messaged I'm home from work. But now to an explanation to my question. My boyfriend's mom doesn't live in the country. Her husband was able to get them a trip here last year, so I was able to meet them. I've kept light contact with his mom since then. This year, they are able to fly out here again. They'll be flying to the state that my boyfriend lives in, so I would have to fly there to see them. When my boyfriend and I had the conversation that I brought up 2 weeks ago, I told him that I wasn't sure if it was a good idea for me to come out to see them. My boyfriend had also told me that on his way to his mom's Airbnb, he forgot my birthday card at his place. Ultimately, decided that he would buy the tickets. I learned that he doesn't know my middle name through this process because he needed it to buy tickets. I told him to send me the money and I would get the tickets. So since getting the tickets, I've felt even more distanced from my boyfriend. I feel like he didn't listen to me. I don't think it's fair to him for me to feel this way and stay with him. Yes, that was a great thing that you just said. I don't think it's fair to him for me to feel this way and stay with him. Oh, I guess the fair to him part, I don't care about him. But like, it's not fair to you to feel this way and stay with him. That's what I thought you were saying originally. It's not fair to yourself to feel that way and stay in that situation.
Yeah. True,
it's just not
true.
fair. At this point, I'm not even sure if I should go, but I would hate to disappoint his mom. So I guess I'm really asking, would I be the a-hole if I broke up with my boyfriend and canceled the flights? Because I'm not sure if this is a sustainable relationship. And there is an update, a big update. But what is our answer to that?
You better have walked out of there ASAP. I better see we broke up, not,
Yeah.
and then he gave me this and gave me that. Like,
Yeah.
these are clear signs
Right.
of a very not good relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not, it's just not good. In the story that I read before, I mentioned the phrase I've brought up like quite a few times at this point, the I don't trust, I observe. You know what I mean? You can hear all his lovey-dovey messages and whatever he says,
Yeah.
but you have to, hear that, say thank you, sure, whatever, and then keep an eye open. Okay, because that doesn't patch the wound of whatever he did before.
Yeah, she sent me with that a lot of times.
Well, I brought
In
it
a
up.
good way. In a good way.
I brought it up in
Once.
when we read stories, and I brought it up with him because I had been given that advice, and then I realized through observation that he was actually a good person. This guy right here. So so
Don't make me cry.
it's true. It works. So you can find people with that. Okay.
Yep, they all live in Taylorsville, North Carolina, and work at a sawmill.
Yes.
So good luck finding
there
them.
was only it's the only kind of good man out there. No, but if you think that this is not a sustainable relationship, and if you feel distant from him, and if you feel hurt, and like he doesn't maybe not care about you or something like that, then you don't need to meet his mom. You're going to break up with him anyway. You know what I mean? So might as well just do this and not go through all the pain of like still being around him and then meeting his mom, If this is an awful guy, then maybe his mom is not the best either. You know what I mean? So we're just going to jump right into this update now. Okay. But now for the update. It's a bit of a long update, but you guys helped me a lot. So here it goes. 2 days ago, I broke up with my now ex-boyfriend, canceled the flights, and sent him the money for the tickets. Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank goodness. Oh, wow. That is the best thing you could have said, Opie. Wow. Your comments have helped me tremendously through this process. I didn't realize how bad of a situation I was in. The realization of how he's been treating me really set in. He reacted exactly as you all predicted. I waited until around 2:30ish a.m. hoping he'd be asleep to end the FaceTime call, to Zelle him the plane ticket money, and send the message I quickly drafted to say I'm ending things between us. My phone started blowing up minutes afterwards with messages and Snapchats from him. Oh my gosh. Minutes? So he wasn't asleep? Like what? Most of them just singular texts saying, please, but also, I can't do this right now. I love you so much. I can't out of nowhere. Don't forget about me and the good times. I'm majorly freaking out in the bathroom right now. I can't stop shaking. I'm about to wake up my mom. I wish you had come down. I was thinking how beneficial it would have been for us to finally see in person and talk some stuff out. The cycle of him calling over and over again began, to the point I couldn't use my phone. I gave in and answered, although I unfortunately don't remember all of what he said because I dissociated through the call. The dissociation when I'm with him explains my lost memories, lol. Oh my gosh. Man, I'm so sorry, girl. I wish I could give you a hug. Oh my gosh. That is not a good sign at all. So glad you're out of there now, though. Oh my gosh. All I can remember is I told him it's final and I'm not changing my decision, and him saying, I can't believe I'm never going to hear you say I love you again. Yeah, cry about it. I don't know. I literally figure it out. Figure it out all on your own. This isn't going to make her stay, okay? After the call, I got messages the rest of the day. I feel like I don't know who I am without you. I hope these past few days when you've told me you loved me, you really meant it. Girl, please block him. I hope you block him. I haven't said or messaged anything to him since the call ended, but I didn't block him because one of you commented his behavior might worsen if I did that, and truthfully, in this specific situation, it seemed better not to block. It's saying his behavior might worsen. That could go two ways. That could go into harming himself or harming her. So if it's harming her, it's probably better to not block. Obviously, you don't want him to harm himself, but at a certain point with breakups, I think a lot of manipulative people threaten that to make you stay, but all you have to do is call authorities and then move on, because that is not your responsibility. You can find other people who can take responsibility of that. But I'm so glad that you're at least not responding to any of these things, because that's really the whole reason you would want to block him, is just so that you can't talk to him anymore. But I'm glad that you are controlling yourself and not talking to him anymore. As you can imagine, I haven't really slept and I have had a headache from crying.
It sucks because I do still care for him and I love him. I still wish the best for him. Although I feel like I already mourned this breakup and loss, but I was hoping it wouldn't come to this. He's had an effed up childhood and has been cheated on, but that's not my responsibility to deal with, and his projecting isn't acceptable either. That's right, girlfriend. Oh my gosh. Yes. I'm so happy that you said that, because that's absolutely not your responsibility. There's no way if someone has been cheated on in the past and then they bring it into their current relationship with you or whoever and is like, well, you have to do all this to like make up for my past. It's like, no, not really. I mean, sure, you don't want to cheat on them. Don't cheat on them. But like, you don't have to like do all these things because they have a crazy trust now or something like that. Like a lack of trust. That's their problem, girl. That's their problem. I'm so glad you left that to him. My ex had the gifts that I got for his mom, and when he gave them to her, she sent me this message. Hello, dear. I just opened the gift bag from you, and I'm totally blown over by your generosity. I'm in love with the backpack. Only one thing could have made it better, and that's if you were here, with a bunch of sad faces. I don't know how the heck I was supposed to respond to that. I've gotten texts all during the day from after my ex. Wait, no, I need to pause on that, because she's doing the guilt tripping now. I'm sure, he was saying all these things about like being sad, but clearly we see where the guilt tripping is from his mother. So good thing that you didn't have to. So like I was saying earlier, good that you don't want to meet her, because she's just gonna be another version of him in a lot of cases. Not always, but in a lot of cases. I've gotten texts all during the day after from my ex. My heart aches for you. All the love bombing, as you guys have taught me in the comments. It really feels like I'm being thrown away. My heart can't take this. All day yesterday, he messaged me and snapped me, and I've been leaving him on read. Ranged from, you're the biggest part of my life and my top priority. The only thing I've ever wanted was to come home to you. To, do you just want me to, for real, not talk to you at all? Is it easy for you to not open our chats and stuff? I don't get how you were just able to do it. And please read and reply later when you have time. I'm struggling, and any message back from you would do wonders. I guess I'll just leave you alone. Please don't let the streak die. You said you knew how much it meant to me. What? The snap streak? You're saying like, you know how much our snap streak means to me, babe. Just don't let it end. Don't let our snap streak end. Oh, you poor man. I'm so sorry for you and your lost snap streak. That is really so sad, and my heart goes out to you. I woke up this morning to snaps. I sincerely hope you read this. Please acknowledge my existing. I never thought you'd ignore me one day. It would also make it easier to leave you alone. Like this, I don't know if you've read anything. Please don't let the streak die. You've said you knew how much it meant to me. I just hope I wasn't replaced or thrown away this easily. I'm devastated. The text I got this morning. My little heart is very broken. Oh, your poor little heart. Oh, I'm so sorry. Your little heart deserves a very little violin. This is truly my last message. I don't think you will ever call me or text me back, so I won't bother you anymore. It seems clear that you want me gone, so I'm gone. I'll get the gifts to you because my mom spent her money on it. I love you. I loved every single moment with you, and I don't think I will ever get over you. And now I keep getting snap messages from him. See? Lying again. He just keeps lying. I'm just getting more angry. The fact that he thinks that I just immediately replaced him, he truly doesn't know me at all. Yes, I'm aware you guys warned me and told me he doesn't care about my feelings. It just sucks that I feel like I was trying to be my best for him, and I spent all this energy for him to expect me to just move on. I don't know if he expects that. It sounds like he's scared that you're doing that, and he doesn't want that either. But I mean, this is just how relationships go. No one moves on immediately unless they like really weren't that into the relationship in the first place, So, yeah. He's just being a little crybaby and just doesn't want you to move on. He probably knows that you didn't, and which is why he thinks that all of these love bombings will still work. I will say that I didn't set clear boundaries to not contact me, but I did say that I needed time away from him, but I have to forgive myself for that because the message was a little sloppy and I just wanted out. The airline wasn't able to refund the money for the tickets, so I just canceled the flights and sent him the money from my savings. Oh, that's nice of you, but I wish you didn't. I've taken this time to reflect on the past 3 years. Oh, wow, you were here together for 3 years? For my 21st birthday, I really wanted my boyfriend with me. Of course, to share the moment, but he ended up driving down to his dad's for something, which was like a 6-hour drive. It shouldn't really be that big of a deal, but if I had known that it was going to be the last birthday with my mom, I would have been more focused on spending time with her than the fact that my boyfriend couldn't just tell his dad it was my birthday and I wanted him there for my celebration party and he could drive down there the day after. After my mom passed, I ended up getting COVID a month later, oh boy, which almost took me out, literally. My sister and I share an apartment, but she basically lives at her boyfriend's, so I didn't really have anyone to help me. I wasn't very financially stable then, so the only thing I could do was DoorDash liquid IV. Oh gosh. I tried to drink liquids and I tried to eat what soups I had in my kitchen cabinet. I couldn't function. The most I could do was force myself to take a very hot shower, and I had the kitchen step stool to sit on because I could barely stand to walk to the bathroom. Oh my gosh. After the shower, I would wrap in a towel and sit on the bathroom floor until I could muster the energy to get back to bed. My hair was matted because of the multiple showers without brushing. I was dealing with nausea that I've never even come close to feeling before, and only when I was finally able to get a phone call appointment with a doctor was I able to get some advice to get Dramamine. Thank God, because it's probably one of the only things that got me through. It's the fact that I explained my symptoms and the doctor said, "Oh, you got that strain of COVID?" Comforting. I was sick for like 4 weeks before I could stand for more than 2 minutes without running out of breath and feeling like collapsing. By the end of it, I was 89 pounds. Oh my gosh. Because I couldn't keep anything down. My ex told me that he wasn't really able to do anything because he had tests in school and he couldn't get sick. Understandable, I suppose. There's a lot that you could do with dropping things off. Like dropping things off, wearing a freaking hazmat suit, like literally get a hazmat suit. I would absolutely just mask up, wear gloves and drop off food or do anything. That is so sad. Because I guess, sure, that's understandable, but if you really don't have anything and your partner is telling you that they love you and they're not even like trying to help, they're just like, I don't want to get sick, you know, like that's tough, man. He drove to my apartment once and brought me Chinese food from our local grocery store and stood on the sidewalk away from my front door while I grabbed the food. See, you could do stuff. He FaceTimed me every now and then. I really have to shout out my neighbor for helping me survive through it. I had pet sat her cat previously, so she messaged me asking if I was okay because she noticed my car hadn't moved in like a week and a half. Oh, wow. Good move on the neighbor for checking out or looking out for her. Dang. I worked 6 out of the 7 days of the week in early mornings, late evenings, so the fact that she noticed my car not moving made me feel noticed. Oh, that's really so sweet. I told her I had COVID and she immediately asked if I needed anything. She got me meds and anything I needed, put it outside my door, and I honestly can't thank her enough. It was such a tough time for me. But I'm alive. That's right, OP. You are. You got through it. When I finally was testing negative, my neighbor asked me if there was anything that I thought I could keep down. The only thing I could think of was Olive Garden soup and salad, so I geared up with gloves and a mask and long sleeves just in case, and she brought me to Olive Garden and I was able to eat 2 minestrone soups and some salad. This neighbor is now one of my closest friends and part of my support system, especially now for this experience. The list goes on from what my ex has done, but I don't know why I stayed after I had to tell him I was deleting Life 360 because it didn't feel like it was just for safety. Yeah. Well, hindsight is 2020. Don't be too hard on yourself. Reading over your comments has made me been able to really reflect on this relationship and pinpoint some specific moments of his gaslighting, insecurities, and whatnot. The list goes on for why I want you guys to check out more stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. Lots of good stories and hopefully good advice from us. We'll do our best. And there is a little bit more, so let's just jump right into it. Reddit community, thank you so much. I knew I had to leave, but I think I just really needed that push, and you guys helped me with that. My dad used to always tell me that people will someday take advantage of my kindness, and I didn't really understand until now. I've recently just finished the Throne of Glass book series, and the thing I keep thinking about is when Aylin's mom told her, "You do not yield." And Aylin kept telling herself that from then on. My situation isn't to the extent of what her character went through, but it's the quote that I keep telling myself. I do not yield to people trying to make me lower than them. The path to a very long healing journey starts here. Again, thank you guys for all of your comments, support, and bluntness. Thank you for the stories you guys have shared with personal experience. I hope you guys are doing better now. They've been helping me keep strong through all of this, reminding me why I have to leave for myself. That is the end of that story.
If you want more stories like this, search for our podcast, OK Storytime, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
My family forces me to babysit during vacation because it's free. So I paid for myself.
What?
Yeah, what? I, 23 male, was repeatedly stuck playing the part of helper and babysitter on family outings. I had to move out of my parents' house because I kept being forced to help watch my 3 nephews. By the way, this comes from user No Ride Throwaway on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, last year we took a family vacation in summer to the coast. I rode along with my parents and they paid for my hotel room. Only I had to share that room with 3 rowdy boys because my sister and her husband wanted a room to themselves. I was promised time to do my own things on the vacation, but instead, I ended up having to help with these kids. I complained to everyone about it and was reminded I was there for free. Then we pretty much just did only one thing that I wanted to do, which was tour an art gallery. I like doing this whenever I'm at the coast, but the kids find it boring. This year, my parents have a beach trip planned for June, and they assumed I'd be riding along the same way as I did last year, but I refused. I said I'd be driving myself and paying for my own hotel stay to have my own room. My parents were shocked and tried to remind me of the cost. I said it was no worry. I've got a good job and a decent running car. I can more than afford it. That is when the buts started. I stated the previously listed things as why I'll be driving myself and paying for myself. I want to be able to enjoy this vacation as an adult and not be treated like a child like last year. My parents told my sister and she called to blow up at me that I'll be ruining the vacation if I'm off doing my own thing while she has to wrangle her 3 boys. I ended up yelling at her that last year all she did was rope me into her mess. I didn't really get to do much of anything I wanted to do, and I was treated like the bad guy for wanting to go to an art gallery. I'm a grown man. I deserve my vacation too. Now, my sister is not speaking to me, and my parents are still trying to convince me to just ride with them to keep the peace. I'm still refusing, but the pressure is getting to me. Am I the a-hole for not giving it? I know they'll have a pretty hard time when they won't have another person there to help. It's barely been an hour since I posted, and this is an edit, but my sister is apparently a Reddit lurker in the mornings and she saw my post. Not only is she furious with me, but she's also upset no one in the comments is siding with her.
She's like, I can't believe you would post about me and also that no one agrees with me.
Yeah. To make it short, she went on a big rant about how it's so hard to be a parent to triplets, and the least I could do is help because I'm young and single and she needs a break. I stood my ground on this decision, and now she's calling our parents to get them involved. I'm expecting a call from them any minute, and we have an update, so I bet you I know who called. Well, I'm off work now, so I can tell more of what went down. I guess you could say it's over. I guess you could say it's
Our family's
over.
done.
It's so over. We're done.
It's Jover.
My sister got our parents involved and they looked at my post and were absolutely horrified by the continuous influx of commenters. Yes, they're very angry with me that I posted here, but I told them that if they just listened to me to begin with, I'd never have needed to. I'm sick of the whole keep the peace mentality that sacrifices me to placate my sister. They in turn went off on my sister.
Okay, cool.
And to make a long story short, the whole vacation has been canceled.
Oh, not cool.
Oh, everyone lost.
Yeah, look what you did, sister.
But the hotel wasn't booked anyway. So
You should go on a vacation, OP.
you should
If
go
you
on a
can
vacation
afford
all
it.
by yourself. You can do that. You're 24.
Yeah.
You can go do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
As long as you're not neglecting your responsibilities and obligations. My parents are arguing with my sister, and my sister is blaming me, and my nephews are crying because they aren't going to the beach. My sister called me at lunch and basically implied I have no life, which is why I have time to help. I recorded that and told our parents, and that's currently what they're fighting about. Here's a small update. I wasn't going to update again, but you know me, I just had to. Parents said that they won't ever push babysitting of my nephews on me again, and have agreed that what happened last year was unfair to me. Right now, they are very angry with my sister for telling me I should help her because she thinks I have no life. My sister is playing the victim, and my brother-in-law is basically saying nuh-uh to the whole mess and spending most of his time at work. Thank you to everyone who's commented. You made my day. And we have an update. A week ago, I made this throwaway account to ask, am I the a-hole? A question I was found to be anything but the a-hole in. I have too much to say to post in I am the a-hole as an update, so a friend recommended I come here. My post opened a Pandora's box in the family. Basically, my parents and older sister have become very comfortable with me helping with the childcare of my young triplet nephews. I didn't leave home until I was 22 because I was trying to save money while also going to college. A scholarship covered a lot, and living at home kept me from getting rising debt due to my working part-time as well. I'm very thankful for this. However, after college, everyone just seemed to act like I had endless time on my hands and convinced me along on a family vacation. In this so-called vacation, I was forced to babysit my 3, at the time, 6-year-old nephews.
That's so many 6-year-olds.
Yes, I even had to share a hotel room with them.
Oh, that's
And
so many 6-year-olds.
3 6-year-olds in a hotel room. One of them is not making it. I'm sacrificing one to the pool. I'm sacrificing another one to like the laundry room. Whichever one to make the ancient gods give me peace of mind.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I even had to share a hotel room with them, and believe me, those kids did not listen to a dang thing I said on the first night until I called their mother twice, and I was treated like the bad guy for wanting to do other things during the trip. Like if it's something the family doesn't enjoy as a whole, then it doesn't happen, which was extremely hypocritical because I'm family and wasn't included in that vote. And you can bet I aired this grievance with my parents after my last post, and they've acknowledged being in the wrong. After that awful vacation last year, I decided it was time to move out, and did so before the summer ended, which surprised everyone as I gave them no warning. I'd landed a great job pretty much right after college thanks to an internship, and used moving as an excuse to drop my commute from 45 minutes to 15. My sister hated this the most because it meant no more free babysitting on weekends, but she still tried to make me do it. I caved sometimes, usually by being bribed with pizza, and this sort of became the new norm. But then last month, my parents announced plans for another family vacation to the same place along the coast. And they basically wanted it to go the same way.
They didn't learn anything. They didn't learn anything.
It sounds like they are very hard-headed.
Yeah.
I immediately saw it for what it was. It's a trap!
It's a trap!
I knew that if I rode with my parents and let them buy the hotel rooms, I would be screwed over the same way I was last time. So I just casually stated I'd drive myself and pay for myself. And that's when the doo-doo storm began.
It's already beginning.
It's begun! When my parents realized they couldn't entrap me like before, they resorted to borderline begging. And my sister practically tried to order me to go with the flow through gaslighting. Newsflash. I didn't. Have these people not ever heard of hiring a babysitter?
No.
Is there nobody
There's no
on
babysitters
earth who
on
can
this
look your
island
kids?
that they're going to.
Yeah.
Not a single one.
Sorry. No babysitters allowed, actually.
No babysitters allowed. It's no shoes, no shirt, no babysitter.
No shoes, no shirt, no neglected children, no service.
No service.
You have to.
Gotta neglect
You
them.
gotta neglect those
Just a
kids. You
little
gotta
bit.
leave those kids alone in a room.
Can't have a babysitter here.
After I didn't cave to my sister's demands, I made the post after days of harassment. And then my sister somehow spotted that post in less than an hour. What followed was Pandora's box. At first, the family was against me. My sister called our parents, and they called me when I still had a little time to talk in the morning. My parents were on the phone with me while also reading my post. I asked them if anything in the post was a lie. They sort of steered around that and called the post an exaggeration, but I pointed out numerous details that made it pretty much on the mark. Then I told them to check the comments. There were already far too many to read, and I was repeatedly refreshing the page on my home PC, telling them how many comments there were. Then I told them I was sick of their mentality of keeping the peace by forcing me to placate my sister. Then I said I was out of time and we would have to reschedule this later. Yeah, that was a classy move.
Gotta go. So you can call my agent if you want to continue
Yeah.
this conversation about you guys not paying me for my babysitting.
Yeah, looks like that life that I have is actually popping up and I'm going to
It's
have to go
going.
here. Maybe I can squeeze you in between,
Like
I don't
2
know,
o'clock?
like 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
3 o'clock. I don't know.
I
I
got
have
like
so
15
many things
minutes.
going on in my life.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick 5. I said I was out of time and would have to resume this later. Well, my parents were positively horrified that hundreds, if not thousands of people were commenting in a matter of hours. And later on, I told them that the number had basically doubled and was still growing, which only added to their horror. So I guess they were forced to take a long look at their own actions. My sister tried to call me a bee while I was at work, but my phone was on silent until my lunch break, so all she could do was leave messages and texts. But she was persistent and managed to get through to me when I was eating my lunch. The gist of the conversation was my post had taken our parents away from her side, and now they were mad at her.
Shocking.
Whoa. In the ensuing argument between them, my parents canceled the entire vacation. Yes, they later acknowledged that they just passed the blame out of embarrassment and have fully accepted fault. They told me no excuses could excuse the fact that they made their go-to free babysitter when I wasn't even living at home anymore. They did try to backtrack a little by pointing out they never charged me rent while I was in college, but I reminded them kids don't ask to be born, and I was doing my hardest to make my own way. Then I pointed out my father had the same kind of leg up from his parents. They let him live free of charge at home while he was in college. That basically ended any argument my parents had left. After arguing with my parents, my sister dug her heels in, blamed me, and doubled down on her belief that my life should circle around hers. I told her that was the most and entitled thing she's ever said about me, and it took days, but her husband finally stepped in and forced her to apologize to me. I'd never seen her cowed like that by anyone, but she was on the verge of crying. It ended up being admitted that one of the reasons I was the go-to babysitter was because my sister didn't trust strangers. It was never about the money. Or was it? Actually, my brother-in-law thought my sister was paying me for my time watching her kids after I moved out of my parents' house. She didn't even give me gas money, just gave me cash that was enough to order pizza for both myself and the kids and pocketed the rest.
So he thought, he was like, oh yeah, you were getting paid the whole time. Why are you complaining? And Opie's like, no.
Here's the thing, Chief. I haven't been paid anything. Maybe you should, seek some back pay on that. So, my sister had been shortchanging me for months. He blew up at her when this came out during her half-bootied apology, and she was forced to pay me what she owed me in cash entirely from her own savings, which she looked very sore about. And if you want to listen to more stories just like this one, all you have to do is go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. And there you will find a treasure trove of stories. Just like this one.
Just like this.
And there is a little bit more story.
Mrs. Rainbow says, no, she was pocketing the money. That's ridiculous. Like, you're literally stealing from your brother?
Yeah, it's like, what's the dynamic there?
I don't know. They
know.
must
It's
hate
like-
each other.
She hates the child. Then my brother-in-law apologized to me for his own inaction in letting my sister walk all over me. He promised that they'd get a normal babysitter from now on. Yes, it'll cause a bit of a drop in the bucket for them, but my sister will be getting date nights back. Then came the family meeting the other day's evening. We all gathered up at my parents' house and everything was laid bare. Apologies all around and whatnot, and then my parents reinstated the family vacation. And yes, I still plan to drive myself and pay for my own hotel. I'll even stay in a completely different hotel if my sister tries to revert me to childcare. And I have stated this. She's promised me that won't happen, and if I don't update again after the vacation, then y'all know everything is fine. And that
Is the end?
is the end
Everything's
of that story, which means
fine.
everything's just fine.
Woo! We love it.
My mother makes unreasonable demands during her visit, then throws tantrums when they're not met.
Why can't you send me to the moon?
I, 29 female, am married to a Korean and living in South Korea. I've been here since 2019. Neither of my parents came to my wedding. My dad didn't want to quarantine because he's an American and he won't let another country strip him of his rights. My mom didn't want to come because the flight was too long. By the way, this comes from undoubtedly Vapid on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, on the same month of my wedding, she alone drove 12 hours to Florida to see a witch doctor and go clubbing. My mom is a Pandemanian. Or does she like pandas? Sorry,
Dude.
Bro,
She's
you're really
from the country of Panama.
don't understand. Okay, my mom is a Pandemanian. Dude, I just can't say the
Panda-
word. This
dude,
is
why
so
are you adding
cool.
a D?
Do you think they're a panda now?
I'm sorry. Okay,
My mom is Kung Fu Panda.
I'm sorry.
Kung Fu Pandemanian.
Pandemanian. This is just such a cool
Stop
word.
saying the D.
What,
You're saying
Pandemanian.
Pandemanian.
Panna.
Pana.
Thank you.
Say Panama.
My mom is a Panamanian. Panna.
Why'd you say it
Did I say it? Panna? Panamanian?
Why'd you say it like that?
Panamanian?
You went Panamanian.
Because I was trying to avoid the D. Like I was jumping over the D. I don't know why I wanted to say a
Can you say
Pandamaniac.
Panama?
Panama.
Just say Panama. Say Panama.
Panamanian.
Yeah.
Yeah! That felt wrong. Okay. My mom is a Panamanian. Okay. Panamanian.
Say my mom is from Panama.
My mom is from Thank you. I could do that one.
Ooh.
Well, this word is very new to me. Panamanian. Okay. My mom is from Panama, who's lived in the U.S. for a little over 20 years. Yet she doesn't speak English well because she hates the language. It's so ugly, and she doesn't need to learn it since her children can translate for her. Well, a few months ago, my mom told me that she really misses me and she wants to see me. She asked me to come back and visit her. I said I couldn't because it wouldn't be fair to my husband. I go on vacation while he works, and he funds my vacation. My mom got upset and kept bringing it up for weeks. I jokingly suggested if she really wanted to see me, she should fly out here. She said never. She doesn't want to go to China. A week after that conversation, she said she'd fly out to me. I was hesitant to believe her and sarcastically said, sure, come anytime. You're always welcome. Well, she followed through and got a ticket. It was non-refundable, but she can reschedule it. Since buying the ticket, she's come up with so many demands. She's not even here yet, and I'm going crazy. Her first demand is that she must stay with my husband and I in our tiny 2-bedroom apartment. Her second room is more like a closet. She's afraid of getting essayed in her hotel room. She truly believes that Korea is a very unsafe country and that she's gonna get attacked if she's alone. She declared that she'd sleep on the same bed with me and my husband can take the floor since Chinese people like being on the floor anyways.
Okay, so guess who's not coming anymore, Mom? You're not coming. You're banned.
Yeah, I offered to stay with her in her hotel with her until she's comfortable. She blew up in a fit of rage, spewing random things about SA and that she will do what she wants. Her second demand is that we must immediately go to the nearest US base 2.5 hours away so that she can go grocery shopping because she doesn't trust Korean grocery stores. She's afraid that they'll trick her into buying dog meat or that they'll label dog meat as pork/beef and she will only be eating her home cooked meals and not eat at restaurants because she's seen too many TikToks about dirty Chinese restaurants. My husband has made it clear that the first week she is here, we will not be taking her to a base. She had a huge meltdown, but convinced herself that she will be fine on surviving on chicken eggs and white rice until then.
I hate this.
Her third demand is that I take her to the Wiener Park.
The what part?
Yep. My husband is willing to drive us out there 4 hours to appease her, but he's not happy about her demanding tone. She also asked that I take her clubbing, but I not only refused, but told her most clubs have an age limit and that she's way over it. She has several other demands. I'll skip over that. Today we had a huge argument because my in-laws want to meet her. I've been trying to come up with different excuses, but my in-laws keep insisting. My mom told me that she won't eat anything they cook if we go to their home. And if we go out to eat, she's only going to eat white rice. She always made unnecessary comments about my husband's family, and she doesn't even know them. She's never even met my husband. She threw a temper tantrum when I said that I want her to be on her best behavior and asked her not to embarrass me. How dare I? Am I embarrassed of her?
Yeah.
She's done nothing wrong.
Wrong.
How could I make her out to be a bad person?
Because you're a racist.
She's going on this long and strenuous journey to see her daughter, and her daughter cannot appreciate the sacrifice she's making. She's threatened to cancel her flight.
Oh, you mean and the angels sang Holly freaking Luya.
I said that would be fine. She didn't like that. I reacted that way, so she threw another fit, called me a bad daughter, said it was my duty to go see her, not the other way around. And she said a lot of out-of-pocket wild things. She arrives in exactly 1 week. Update!
I wouldn't want her there.
Don't let her go. Don't
Unless
She's coming with a closed mindset, which
Yeah.
means she's going to be toxic and upset the entire time and like just thumbs down anything you like. Oh, we should try kimchi. Kimchi, just like basic South Korean or Korean food. Pickled vegetables. No. Anything? No, that's like bad. I've seen videos.
Kimchi? Is it dog's
Oh, what is
blood?
that? What is that? Bulgogi? No.
But unless anyone is speaking Spanish in South Korea, which I'm assuming she speaks, I don't think anyone's going to understand what she says or will hear her being rude. And plus, you can just keep her in your closet, your second bedroom. Just lock the door.
but
I'm
there's-
just not bringing her. I'm not risking my relationship with my partner. I'm not risking my in-laws' opinions of me
Yeah.
being disparaged because of my mother's behavior. Like, I'm not doing it.
Update. My husband and I will drive her to the airport first thing in the morning, then head somewhere and spend the weekend together because all of this was too stressful.
Oh, this is like a week later. This is after the trip, post-trip.
I brought it upon myself. I had a small inkling of hope that she would change once she got here. At first it seemed so, then boom, out of nowhere. She was supposed to arrive on Monday, but her first flight got canceled. They gave her the option to fly the next day or cancel their flight and fully reimburse her. That was definitely a sign from a higher power, I guess. She told me, and I wanted to tell her not to come. I didn't say anything and hoped she'd back out. She arrived Tuesday evening. She was the last person to come out of the gate because it took her 20 minutes to figure out how to connect to the airport's Wi-Fi. We missed the bus, so I said all the tickets are sold out until 9:15. We had to wait 3.5 hours. She immediately refused and demanded we took a taxi. I gave her the alternate to take the train halfway and then ride the bus the rest of the way. Nope. So I dropped a lot of dough on a taxi straight to my city 2 hours away from the airport. She did sleep in my bed the first night. And another demand I didn't mention in my original post is that she demanded I remove my cats. I did not. Day 1, I woke up early to head to the gym. She asked me not to go because she was uncomfortable to be alone with my husband. I waited until he left for work. My plan was to take her to a traditional folk village in the afternoon. She said she wanted to go in the next morning instead.
Why? Why would you do that?
We took another taxi because she didn't want to take the bus. Overall, we had a good time. She ate what they had and kept her complaints to a minimum. Day 2, I made her an appointment to get her lips tinted and eyebrows microbladed. The artist drew in a very natural looking eyebrows and chose a nice natural color. My mom hated it. Do you not know how to do eyebrows? She said in a tone. Thankfully, the artist/technician didn't understand what my mom said. Anyway, my mom has these god-awful TikTok filters she loves to use and inspires to look like. Think TLC 90 Day Fiancé Silva twins faces.
So unreal is what she wants to look like. She wants to look not real.
My mom wanted those high-arched eyebrows and big, vibrant lips. The artist and I tried to explain to her that it doesn't suit her and she might regret it. Nope, that's what she wanted, and that's what she got. And man, the artist did a great job, but it really doesn't suit my mom. The big blow-up. We got home, watched a movie together. After the movie, I asked her what she wanted to eat. My husband and I wanted soup. He was on his way home and was going to pick it up from a restaurant. I showed my mom the 2 options. Since her first day, she ate Korean food, was perfectly fine with minimum complaints. It was either dumpling soup or hand-pulled dough soup. She said she had Chinese dumplings, so she didn't want that because she didn't like the taste. I reminded her we are eating Korean food. She still refused. No problem, dough soup it is. Nope, she didn't know what it was. I said the dough is the same as dough used for noodles, which she ate the day before. Then she said, I don't eat that. I replied, you did, yesterday. No, I don't eat that. I don't know what food that is. I told you no, I said I don't eat that. You can't make me eat it. Okay, what will you eat? Rice and eggs. Okay, no problem. Do you want me to make it for you? No, I'll do it for myself later. I thought that was the end of it. Of course, it wasn't. Minutes later, we started shouting about dinner. She then goes on about how she's not having a good time because I'm treating her badly. Basically said that since she's gotten there, I've had it out for her and have been intentionally trying to ruin her trip, that I have been disrespecting her and embarrassing her. What was she mad about? Well, I didn't put my cats out. I compromised and said the room is hers. The cat won't go in, but no promises on the cat getting on her stuff. This home belongs to my cats too. When I said this, it was disrespectful and offensive. I wouldn't let her take videos and pictures of me because I didn't look/dress nice. I said she had other opportunities to do so on the weekend. She threw a fit and cried over that. I also cried over me asking her not to take pictures or videos of my home, which she did, and when I called her out over it, she said I disrespected her and cried over it. My opinion about her perm makeup hurt her feelings because she felt like the artist and I were intentionally attacking her taste and making fun of her.
Why don't we, you know what, Mom,
man.
here's what we're going to do. I'm going to send you back to your little bubble where everything that you do is right and everything that you do is perfect and no one ever does or says anything to you, and then you'll be happy, right? Oh my freaking God.
This hurts.
Like, I can't even enjoy this story because of how exhausting this woman is. And OP, what are you doing? Send her back. She's like, blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, well, guess what? Bloop, bloop. I just bought you a return flight so you can go ahead and get on it and get out of here.
Be so
and I'll
embarrassed.
visit you when I find the strength within my bones. I will come to you.
Yeah, I would have shut that down whenever she was like, I don't want to eat dog food in China. I'd be like, all right. No.
There's no dog. It's Korea, and you're not coming.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You don't even have to worry about that possibility. I would have to constantly remind her not to stop or talk loudly because of neighbors. She took that offensively because I was bossing her around and making her do something she's not used to. My husband comes home instead of picking up food because I notified him of our shouting match. He comes home and she immediately starts crying. He checks on me first. I was in my bedroom and briefly explained what happened. He goes to her. She tells this dramatic tale. He's confused. He doesn't understand what I did wrong. She immediately calls my older brother to reschedule her flight. In the end, after she has another shouting match with my brother, where my brother started talking about how dirty and awful Korea is, and the Chinese people here are stupid and useless. When she realized I was translating, she told my brother not to talk like that. He continued to make comments. In the end, she had to cough up $800 to leave ASAP tomorrow. She could have changed her flight for free if she left Sunday, but she did not want to wait that long. And guys, you don't have to wait that long for the next story to come up, because all you got to do is go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, wherever, look up OK Storytime, and boom, there are so many stories just like this. Maybe not as racy, but they're there.
Not as infuriating, and like, I don't know. I feel like OP's just like banging their head with a hammer and then being like, why does my head hurt? It's like, because you allowed this to happen.
Yeah.
You did this. I have zero sympathy for you. I don't know if maybe it's a cultural thing where it's like you just have to accept. If my mother acted this way, I would not be buying her an international flight or like entertaining her, visiting me. It's in my partner's, in our home.
Yeah. This is confusing because she is from Panama, and like,
Just a Pandamanian.
Yeah, that a boy.
Apparently they really don't like the South Koreans over there in Panama.
I don't understand. Like people visit Panama and like they have open minds, and I feel like I just don't understand. I don't understand how you can be so close-minded when you can travel in, like, you're in Central America. You go to Panama. You can go to, you can go to South America from Panama. It's right there. I don't understand. I feel like she's traveled.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Are we going no contact after this?
Yes.
I would.
Yeah.
I'm going no contact and not letting her come.
No contact.
After she repeatedly does not correct herself when she says Chinese.
I would put my foot down. That's the first step, is get it right. That my husband is Korean. Get it right.
Yeah. I'm not planning to ask for my money back. I paid for everything that she asked for while she was here, but I do plan on going no contact. Sorry if this was all over the place and has a lot of errors. Edit. I forgot to mention we didn't make it to meet my in-laws. I'd also like to clarify, when I wrote out of nowhere, I didn't mean that I was shocked or taken back and aware of her personality. I meant it as she was doing so well and nothing caused her to react. It just so happened when we got done watching a movie and she was mellow, then unprovoked, out of nowhere, she had a meltdown. Sorry if I wasn't clear. All good, OP. And guys, that was the end of that freaking story.
My trip to Paris with a friend is stressful. I want to split up for good.
Yeah, break up the trip.
I'm sorry if this doesn't make sense. I've gotten off of my 12-hour shift at the hospital. LOL. Anyways, me and my friend, let's call her Bella. I've known Bella for a while. We've got close after I lost my son at 5 months.
Oh.
We planned a Paris trip, which I honestly thought was just like we should totally go here, then never do that, until the plane and hotel were purchased, which I paid her back for. By the way, this comes from user SadReaper23, and if you want to submit your own story, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit and submit it there. Anyways, time got closer to the trip, and we talked about taking our euros so we can have some cash on hand, and we both agreed to take some out. But the day of the trip, I tried to give her euros, which was the amount I didn't pay because I didn't have money at the time. I took out 3,000 euros because I wanted to shop, and shop I did not.
Ow.
Here's some context about myself. I grew up in horrible living situations, and now as a 19-year-old adult with an apartment and a fiance, I worry about money often. And I have an amazing memory and often worry about misunderstanding, so I take notes on everything, pretty much a summary of every conversation. It's okay? The day of the trip, Bella proceeds to try and gaslight me, telling me I was the only one who was going to take out money, and that's what we agreed on.
What?
There was no note of that conversation. She now owes me about $986.84. Yes, it's very specific. I keep all my receipts and made envelopes with how much money was in each envelope. Money was not the only issue. It was just the start of it. More context. I have never been on a plane or traveled out of the country. I've driven states away. Yes. Paying tolls and whatever. Planes? No. Also, as a child, I didn't really have a home, so I was very aware because I grew up in a substance-infested area. At the airport, I'm nervous. There's a pokey stabby in my checked bag, and it's a nice pokey stabby, and I was worried it would get taken. Bella gets mad at me for bringing a backpack instead of a small suitcase as a carry-on, while my purse is my personal bag. I apparently looked poor, but in reality, I didn't want to lug 2 rolly bags around and would rather carry a backpack. I wear steel-toed boots all the time. They make me about 5'3" in height and protect my little toes. I knew to take my shoes off during the metal detector, and Bella points out my socks aren't matching, and I don't need
Oh my
to
god.
take off my shoes. It's embarrassing,
up.
apparently. Well, joke's on you. I'm colorblind, and I can't tell that the gray isn't the same as that gray.
I'm also not colorblind, and I mismatch socks all the time. Who cares?
I'm pretty small. I'm 5 foot and about 115 pounds, but I'm also claustrophobic. Bella is about 5'2" and is a bit bigger and wider than me. I was put into the middle of the seats, which I am claustrophobic, and kept passing out from hyperventilating, which she told me to stop. It's so embarrassing. I was in the middle of every plane ride, and the same thing happened repeatedly, and I was told the same thing every time, too. Where are the flight attendants? Where's anyone offering to help you here? What, are you on a flight full of just robot
Meanies?
monsters? Anyways, each airport encounter was the same, except the last one, which was finally the plane to take us home. I was in the middle again, but with my awareness brain type of response, I read every sign, and when Bella would wander off, I would mention reading the signs. She got mad and yelled at me to read the signs. And I made her cry by telling her in a stern voice, which, God, I wish I did earlier, not to make her cry, but just to make it stop, quote, I am reading the signs. That's how I know where I'm going. It would be helpful if we both read the signs in bold writing. And proceeded to point at the signs that said our plane number thingy. Enough about the airport. It's time for Paris. I won't lie. I didn't hate the trip, but I didn't enjoy myself much. We get to the hotel, she checks us in, we get into the room, and she yells at me because she's hungry, and then falls asleep. Sounds great.
I'm hungry.
I'm very independent and can read French. Just not
Okay,
speak
flex.
it or understand it when spoken to me. I went out to get pizza, and the only time I enjoyed walking was when I was alone. Anyways, the next day we went to a market, and everything was closed. So we went back. She got mad, and I mentioned a museum. That's all I wanted to do, and it's all I wanted to do while there, even just for an hour. Bella says, that's stupid. We're there to shop. That's why we came here, idiot. In my head, I'm like, shoot, 3,000 euros isn't enough. I wanted to go crazy and bring stuff to my friends at home, but I have to split it. I will withhold unless I really want something. That way everyone will be happy. Bella would be.
Stupid.
So, when we did shop, I shopped for my friends, coworkers, fiance, and my foster mom. The most I got for myself was a sweater and a necklace. I spent literally 32 euros on myself. This whole time there, Bella wanted to be right, and that just wasn't happening. I have training in the army. I know how to fight and track. I never get lost, and never did, and she kept trying to make us go in the wrong direction, then got mad and yelled at me when I was right or tried to correct her. I'm very passive, but I'm also assertive and aggressive when I need to be. I would sit in the bathroom and cry because I felt so I don't know. I was also the designated bag holder because I'm stronger.
She made
or
you
whatever.
hold all her bags?
This person sucks, dude.
You're not her freaking
Cut her off.
servant.
Cut her off. Abandon her in Paris.
Yeah.
I was the designated bag holder because I'm freaking yoked, dude.
So strong.
I felt like this trip was for her, and I was just her bodyguard, money bag holder, direction giver. She was never this way with me before. I lost all excitement for the trip and just wanted to go home to my cats and my fiance. I had to smile and pretend I was so happy. If I let it show that I was tired, sad, annoyed, or anything, she would start to cry and get mad, and I'd be the problem. See, that's where you're wrong, though, girl, because you
Not
could have
the
just been
problem.
however you felt, and then her going,
You go,
That's
you know
her
what,
problem.
I'm gonna head out and do something else today.
you go,
That's what
I'm
you do.
actually going to hang out by myself because I don't usually hang out with little babies.
Little crybabies.
Sorry. By the way, I'm going to dunk you in the river if you don't listen to full episodes with stories like this. All you got to do is go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to podcasts, and search OK Storytime. And then you have the whole archive at your fingertips. She hasn't apologized yet, and I don't think she will because I don't have the heart to tell her how I felt. Oh, maybe deep down, I feel like I owe her. She helped me get through my miscarriage. She was in the room when I had the procedure, when I held him for the first and last time. Anyway, I probably won't go on a trip with her again. But is it worth throwing the whole friendship away? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not good with decisions. I'm commonly, if you are bad, you're gone from my life, but it's usually the newer people that I meet. Ugh, sorry for the long post.
Where's
We have
the
some
photo?
comments. Comment 1, it is absolutely worth the loss. Trust me. Someone who doesn't respect your boundaries, appreciates your strengths, or even pays back the big amount of money they owe you is not a friend. She definitely has some very clear main character syndrome, and the moment something doesn't fit her idea of picture perfect, it is blamed on someone else. This goes far beyond just having an off day. The fact that she can't even offer support in your time of need or accept your own choices in life are huge red flags alone. OP replied, yeah, it was kind of disheartening when I was called embarrassing for things I can't necessarily control, like color blindness or claustrophobia, which she knew about beforehand. I wonder why she switched up. What was the switch up? What was the switch up moment?
Because she wants to be a bully and she doesn't need a reason.
They allowed people with claustrophobia to enlist. That's usually a disorder that disqualifies you from serving in any branch. At least it was when I joined the military. OP replied, I didn't enlist as a child. I joined programs and got help from my siblings. And yes, I know, hence why I am not in the Army and decided to go into the medical field. I'm allowed to go to some bases just to watch and learn. I just can't do the full extended things they do. But fight, yes. Tracking, I can do, just not 100%. I've never traveled before, but based on this, I'll probably be doing it alone from now on. And
Smart.
that is the end of our story.
I bought an international trip for me and my boyfriend, but he's not excited about it.
Then give it to me.
There you go. Hand it over. So for one of my boyfriend's Christmas presents, I revealed that I have bought us a 10-day holiday to Italy for his 40th birthday. It's 5 days in Rome and 5 days by Lake Garda in some lush accommodation, and have even bought us business class tickets. Dang, man.
I want to go.
It's crazy. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, just go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So he has only traveled outside of the UK twice in his life, and during a conversation ages ago, he let it slip that Italy is on his bucket list and that he really wants to start going on holidays outside of the UK. The problem is, however, that when he was told about his present, he seemed really underwhelmed by it. I'm not sure if it's me needing to adjust my expectations, but he just gave such an unenthusiastic, monotoned, okay, thanks, that's great, and said no more. That is upsetting.
I would be pissed.
Yeah, what? Later on, I tried making conversation to build up some sort of enthusiastic response, but he just didn't respond with any sort of joy. It always seems to happen if I get excited about something, he just becomes non-responsive or feels like he needs to bring me down to earth. But I don't understand why he's doing this when I got him something he only dreamed of being able to do. I asked what he would like to see or what food he is looking forward to trying, and he just shrugged and said, I don't know. Or when I said what I've seen before, how awesome places like Pompeii are to visit, he just gives basic platitudes of, and doesn't even look up from his phone. The thing is, his favorite dessert is tiramisu, and he loves pizza, yet he just seems so disinterested and is completely just not engaged in any conversation about Italy at all. I don't understand it all, and now I feel stupid for being so excited. It's honestly really upset me, as I put so much effort into all of this, and I don't make a lot of money. I work part-time and I am on disability benefits. So I had to save up for so long to get this for him. I'm going to try and calm down a bit and talk to him this evening, but I just wanted to know beforehand if I'm thinking about this the wrong way before I do. So there are some comments. Logical Wasabi 7402 says, hey, I noticed you weren't very happy about the gift I got you. Can you tell me why?
Exactly what I was going to say. Talk to your husband.
Yeah.
Say, hey, not like this, but like, what's up with the reaction? You know?
Yeah.
Just have that conversation, because
Yeah.
a good relationship is nothing without communication.
Exactly. OP responds, yeah, I'm going to talk about it later, and was essentially going to ask this, but I wanted to see if there were things I hadn't considered so I can go into the convo even more open-minded. Not for a common Tinogu, whatever that is. I'm going to talk about it later. Shame you didn't talk about it before. I hope it's refundable. Fluffy Puppy says, just saw OP's history that her boyfriend broke up with her 2 months ago.
Oh.
Whoa, is that a spoiler for an update?
No, I think like 2 months before this post, he had broken up and maybe they got together.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So
That
you're
would
probably
be
already on the
crazy.
rocks. I probably wouldn't have done this big of a thing if we
Yeah.
just broken up.
Yeah, not good. If this is the same boyfriend and somehow the two of you reconciled, it may be that he's already checked out of the relationship and thought of spending 10 days in his dream country with you. When issues aren't sorted out yet and the two of you aren't exactly in the best place, is more stressful than exciting. Not for commenting, Ogu also says, if she leaves out such vital info, how the heck can she get good advice? So obviously the explanation. Static Caravan says, so did you break up or were you lying on your previous post? OP responds, I posted a comment and he broke up with me like an hour after he said that he wanted to break up, but less than 24 hours than that, he calmed down from his breakdown and regretted everything. So no lying here. So they didn't break up. Someone
Okay.
thought
Okay,
they
but
did
probably
from that
not
point.
in a great place still.
Yeah, I think so. I've seen him get really excited when playing new games, etc., but it's weird. If I'm excited about something, he hardly ever is. And as I was excited to tell him, it's typical that he didn't respond in the same manner. Before this, he was absolutely fine and talking to me like normal, which is what made it feel weird because he seemed to almost shut down when being told. We aren't rich at all. He does make more money than me, but we aren't flushed with cash at all. He is very much not the type of person that plans anything. In his words, he is a very content person that does not think on things unless they are put in front of him, and he likes that I think of all of these wonderful things for us to do together. So normally, date nights, small breaks, even what we eat is down to me getting as much info as I can from him and then filling in the gaps where he doesn't say anything. It's a lot of effort.
Is he even talking to you?
Great question.
Are you even having conversations?
The thing is, though, I don't expect him to be on my level at all, as I'm a bubbly person, but he seems less excited about this, despite me booking exactly where he has said he's wanted to go, compared to even the last day I took him on, a winter wonderland nighttime walk around Birmingham Botanical Gardens. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just really thrown me as he hasn't been this disinterested in something I've planned ever. Yet, it's exactly what he has said he has wanted. And we do have an update. Do we have any thoughts before we roll into that?
I don't know. It seems
Yeah.
like you guys have maybe some unresolved issues. That's my only thought.
Yeah. Like that one commenter said something that I was kind of thinking of too, of like maybe he's just checked out of the relationship. Like
That's what it feels like.
even if they didn't previously break up, maybe he has kind of thought about it again.
Well, the fact that he said it
yeah.
and then went back on it, I feel
Right.
like he might be
And we don't
thinking
know-
about it.
Yeah, and we don't know all the info on that, but that could definitely be possible. And he's just like avoiding it and being like, yeah, so excited. It's kind of like how I feel like at my job, like at my other job, like I'm like gonna put my 2 weeks in like tomorrow, and we're talking about like plans for the future, and I'm like, yeah, that's really cool.
So great. I love it.
I love it. Awkward. People, it's Christmas. I've been with my family enjoying it and not on my phone. I have an update, but first I want to point out 2 months ago my boyfriend finally stood up to his mother. As a result, she disowned him. He had an utter breakdown and he went on a self-destructive rampage that included him breaking up with me with the excuse that he can't handle my disability. This lasted for less than 24 hours before he calmed down and regretted everything. I understand how he got to the point he did, and I don't hold it against him. For people to almost find joy in finding a comment when I was beside myself is really odd. You can judge me and him all you want for this, but I stand by him as I've witnessed his mother's firsthand. So my actual update. He rang me before I had the chance to sit him down as he went for a drive for a bit whilst I went to see my parents. He is feeling it a lot with not seeing his family this Christmas. He needed to drive around to calm himself down. And on top of this, he has let me know that one of the 2 times that he went abroad was a nasty ex that basically shamed and belittled him the entire trip because she paid for it all. Okay, interesting. So when I said I got him a holiday, he had kind of a flashback of that, but he's basically apologized and is already saying what he's excited to do when we get there.
And that, you know what?
Exactly. Communication. We get more context.
Yeah,
we
learned
understand.
he's not checked out of the relationship. He was just having flashbacks to another relationship.
Thank you all for taking the time to respond, whether it was to support or to offer a different viewpoint. Merry Christmas to all. But that's the end of the story. Wow. But, I mean, by the way, you can always find more episodes with full stories just like this one. You could go to your favorite podcast app, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you want, and search OK Storytime. We'll be there for you. But
true.
again, that is the end of the story.
Yeah. Well, props
Wow.
to you for having the conversation that you needed to have and figuring it out.
Yes.
No, you get to go to Rome, man.
Yes. Enjoy it.
Go to Rome.
Enjoy
You know what?
it.
Go to Rome. Krishna 13, great Indian place.
Oh, really?
Excellent Indian food.
Wow.
Yeah.
In Rome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think best Indian food I've ever had.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Or maybe one of the best.
Wow. Comment below if you've been there.
Yeah. Krishna 13. I think that's what it's called. I made my partner miss a family trip because he refused to act like an adult.
Why don't you cry about it like the little baby you are?
Ooh, my 26 female and my partner 28 male have 5 daughters. 7, 6, 4, 3, and 5 months.
Wow.
That's a lot of daughters. For a long time, there's been an issue with him getting up to help with the kids every morning. He thinks he should be able to sleep in on his days off of work. Well, I think he should get up with the kids, and I do. Or should at least be alternating who lies in a bit. Yeah, I think so. By the way, this comes from Deleted, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OKStorytime subreddit. We've been seeing a therapist who has mentioned he should be helping more in the mornings. Recently, we had a family trip planned to the zoo with both of our parents, our sisters, and their kids. Previously, we've gone out for the day. I've needed to shake my partner awake several times, and he lies in bed while I get the kids ready. He'll finally get up 5 minutes before we leave as I shout at him I'm getting in the car. I've mentioned to him that this is very frustrating as it's a lot of work getting the kids ready to go out, and it's not fair to leave it up to me while he lies in bed. He'd apologize and promise that the next time he'd get up and help. The night before the trip, I told him I'd need him to be awake at 6:30 a.m. so we could get everyone ready to leave by 8 a.m. He said he'd set an alarm and we went to bed. My alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. and I got up, while my partner kept sleeping. I decided I wasn't going to wake him this time and continue getting the kids ready. At 8 a.m., he was still sleeping, so I loaded the kids in the car and we set off. We arrived at the zoo at 9:30 a.m. and his family asked where he was. I mentioned he was still in bed and chose not to come. Why wouldn't you wake him up?
That's what I'm wondering. I would totally wake him up.
Okay, so OP is basically saying, I have tried before. I've had to shake him awake, and it's frustrating always having to wake him up to get him to do this.
I see.
At 10:15 a.m., I got a phone call from him asking where everyone was. Dude, 10:15? I said we went to the zoo, as planned, and I waited for him to get up, but he never did. He got really mad and told me that I should have woken him up like I always do, and I caused him to miss the trip. He then called his mom and complained to her, who yelled at me in the middle of the zoo that I was being unfair, and I should have given him a shake to let him know he needed to get up and that I was about to leave. My mother jumped in and said it wasn't my responsibility to get him out of bed, and he needed to take responsibility for himself. A few more words were exchanged, and his family stalked off for the rest of the trip. I had a blast with my kids, parents, sisters, and my nephews. When we got home, my partner started up on me again about how I should have woken him up. So am I the a-hole for not waking him up and going without him? A few things have come up I want to clarify. He wasn't always like this. When the oldest 2 were little, he was always up with them. He even got up before anyone else to cook breakfast before going off to work. We had to move in with his parents at one point, and that's where things started to change. His family are incredibly misogynistic. Dad works, then comes home, watches TV, and drinks adult soda, while his mom does everything else, including getting him up for work. Yeah. These beliefs seem to have rubbed off on him, and his mom is very quick to tell him something is the woman's job. He's seeing a therapist independently who has suggested some form of depression. He's generally pretty good otherwise. He will help with dinner, cleaning, putting the kids to bed, etc. He's not entirely useless. Getting out of bed in the morning is a long-standing issue, though. He has a vasectomy. He had a vasectomy after baby number 4, which turned out to be incomplete. I had a hysterectomy. I think give it a chance, see if the therapy is working. But you should also just tell him, like, hey, you can't go to, I understand that we're at odds here, but you can't go to your mother to fight your battles for you. Comment 1, not the a-hole. I taught my daughter that she was responsible for getting herself up for high school, and if she missed the bus, I wasn't going to drive her. She never missed the bus. Yeah. I have like an automatic alarm of 7:30 now because of my parents. Because
really?
Yeah, because my parents always woke up at like 6:30 when I was going to school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know my mom would always get up at like 4 or 5 to get everything ready before like we had to go to school, and now she's retired and doesn't have a job, but like
still does that. Reply, my mom did that to me, and one time my alarm didn't go off right. I ended up bumming a ride to a school with a strange man because I was terrified of being late. Reply, therein lies the problem with threats of punitive measures. My dad once told me, I was 13, that if I became a pregnant teen like the neighbor's daughter, I'd be punted out. My mom went nuts at him. Do you want your daughter passing away on a back street of table?
Whoa.
I could still remember the deer in headlights look on his face.
Whoa.
I reply, well, if dad's threat didn't scare you straight, I bet mom's message did. Reply: yep, it's one thing to say that if you F around with daily responsibilities, you face the consequences, and your parents won't be your get out of jail free card. It's quite another to say that if you massively F up and are facing a crisis, mom and dad will punish you instead of helping you. Yeah, there are different ways to parent effectively, and it's making sure that you know that your child has consequences, but also knowing that you are a safe place for them.
It's also interesting.
Yeah.
And worth pointing out that all of these comments are talking about how their parents reacted to them
Yeah.
and how their parents parented them when they were children,
Yeah.
relating to how this wife is treating her husband.
I was about to say, yeah, they're all talking about the parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like
whoa, it's not actually that relevant to the story.
Well, but it is though.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's just how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
It's like we're talking about the husband wanting a mother,
Yeah.
but at the same time, this is what a mother does.
Yeah.
So if you want a mother, I'll show you a mother.
But there is an update. After posting this, I received messages expressing concern and advice. So I thought I'd update about how things turned out. The morning after this incident, my partner got out of bed when the kids did and took the older girls out for breakfast. Later, I asked him if he'd be willing to read the thread, and he agreed. He was very subdued after and didn't say much except for agreeing that he was an a-hole. The next day, he took off work and saw his GP, started on antidepressants, and we had a long talk. He was ashamed by how he was acting and to see strangers comparing him to children. He cried when realizing how much he was letting everyone down, especially his daughters, who will grow up thinking this is normal behavior. He confirmed that this all started when we lived with his parents a few years back. He left home at 17 to get away from his mother, and she told him he'd fail, as men need a woman to look after them. He felt like a failure, so it was easy for his mother to feed him other ideas, and she would also manipulate things I did to look like he was incompetent as a person. Example, I'd tell him to relax and I'd handle the dishes, and his mother twisted it into me thinking he was incompetent, so he should just stop helping at all. He'd wake up feeling useless, and she managed to convince him that he was unhappy because I wasn't taking care of him the way a wife should. He decided to go no contact with her, which didn't go well. She cried and told him he was a horrible son for abandoning his mother, and that I was trying to control him by forcing him to do it. He blocked her, but she just used different numbers to continue calling him. After a week or so, he ended up changing his number, and we haven't heard from his family since. He brought up that he was unhappy at work as it wasn't stimulating enough, but he felt like he couldn't leave. I offered to pick up some part-time work, but he said no. He talked to his boss and took some time off and eventually quit. He spoke to my dad, he used some connections, and got him a good job at his company. The new job is primarily work-from-home position, so he is able to help with the girls more and has more free time. He is able to take the girls to school and watch them play while he works, which they all enjoy. This is great. But you know what you'll enjoy? Full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime.
Just do it.
But there's a little bit left of the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm glad that seemed to work out.
I know.
Yeah.
They had a conversation. She showed him the Reddit comments that were
Yeah.
roasting him, and he was like, whoa.
He was like,
you're right.
dang, man, you might be onto something.
You're onto something.
And then he changed.
communication.
And then they worked with, his own mental struggles.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Realized, he had some depression, issues with depression.
Yeah. And we're working towards solutions.
Good on you guys.
Yeah.
And good on you.
Yes.
But there's a little bit left. Before he started the new job, he booked a trip for us to go to the snow for a week. Aw. We had a blast, and it was lovely to see him relaxed and happy and enjoying our girls and life. He promised to be more honest about how he's feeling, and our relationship has improved immensely. Thank you for everyone who gave judgment and advice. As he says, it really helped him see things more clearly, especially the toxic relationship with his mother. And that is the end of that story.
Wow. Sometimes you just gotta fall on your face a little bit, and then you pick
A
yourself
little
up,
bit.
and then you learn from it, and that's fine.
So true.
That's so fine.
But that was the end of that story.
Oh.
My family excluded me and my wife from the family trip, so we went on a vacation of our own.
Oh, little toe-to-toe. Who's gonna have the better vacation?
Background. My family has always been well off. And by that, I mean like we would take family vacations 2 or 3 times per year. It's still like that now, but I've noticed a difference in how my family acts now that my female 27, wife, female 24, and I are married. By the way, this comes from user A Water Please. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, about 3 weeks ago, my dad booked a trip to Italy. Everyone was excited, and the family group chat was lit up for days following the announcement. I called my dad and talked to him for a while, and eventually I thanked him for including my wife, who'd always felt left out. There was a slight pause, and he told me that he booked the rest of the available seats on that particular flight, and there was only enough for him, my mother, grandparents, my sister, and her husband, and me.
So they're trying to exclude OP's partner.
Trying to exclude your wife, because she's your wife.
And that's when
And
you
you're
say,
her wife, and
My
they don't
wife.
like that.
and they don't like wives.
They don't like you being both wives.
They don't like wife squared. 'Cause
Why
they're
do you not like my
squares.
wives?
because they're squares.
They're squares.
They're squares. So he booked the flights without even taking my wife into consideration. Now, I know what a lot of people would think, that it was just a mistake. But I don't think so, given the fact that my wife has been excluded in other ways before. And if it were a mistake, he'd do everything he could to change it before even announcing the vacation. My heart sunk. I looked at my wife, who could tell something was off, and I told my dad to just give my seat to someone else because if she wasn't included, I wasn't going. Boom.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good.
For God's sakes.
See?
We need more partners like that.
Well, no, we always read stories where they're like, well, they told me you couldn't come,
Yeah,
so I
so
guess that's it.
I guess-
No, stand on business. If you're going to marry and or be in a long-term relationship with someone, defend them.
Stand on your business. Make your
Stand on
partner your business.
Yeah.
Make your partner your business.
Do it.
Stand on your partner. Stand on business.
Stand on your partner and start a business.
There we go.
In the past, I was able to include my wife myself, but I was tired of us being singled out. They never did that to my sister and her husband. They've always included them as a couple. But when it comes to my wife and I, we've always had to figure out our own way into the mix as if we weren't to be taken seriously. I'm not doing that now, and I drew a hard line in the sand this time. This man had the audacity to say that her and I could book our own flight and just, meet them there.
Or maybe we could go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Book a flight that goes in the opposite direction to where you are.
Yes, let us know exactly where you're at so we can be on the opposite side
Yeah.
of the earth.
I don't even want to be near you.
I just told them absolutely not and then hung up. Needless to say, my wife was in tears. She was upset, but she was glad that I was sticking by her. A couple of days went by and we decided to go on our own vacation to a much humbler location, a large rental cabin with her family, who are all downright amazing. Well,
Lovely.
yeah, I'm happy about that.
Me
I'm happy
too.
about going to the cabin. Little cabin in the
Little
woods.
cabin action with the in-laws
Yeah, a
who
little
you
cabin in
like
the woods
and who
with
are
the
better than
good
your
side of the
family.
family.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Anyway, well, my family found out, and they have not stopped blowing up my phone. Why do they care all of a sudden?
Because they're jealous of the cabin. They know it's going to be cooler.
Jealous
They're
of the
jealous
cool
of the
cabin in the
cabin
woods.
itself.
Yeah, they're jealous
I
of the
want to be a
cabin.
cabin.
I want to be a cabin.
My mom called me one night during all this and said that I was being unreasonable and that there's no way I couldn't just book a separate flight and instead book an entirely different vacation with her family. I explained to her that that wasn't the point, that the point was that they have excluded my wife from every family-related event ever since we got married, which always put me in the position to fix it. My mom basically called me crazy and that I was overthinking a simple mistake on my dad's part. For some reason, I'm starting to think that maybe I'm overthinking it and that I
Oh.
should just talk with my dad to see if excluding my wife was intentional, which
Of
was another
course.
point my mom brought up. Am I the a-hole? And there's an edit here. I guess it's not a bad idea, but your gut's already telling you.
I mean,
you already know
it's
that
already
they're
happened
excluding you
before.
because you are not a heteronormative
Yeah.
relationship, clearly.
And also, if
Right.
it was just a mistake, then he could have fixed it. Like if it was a mistake, he would have said, "Hey, we got tickets for everyone," and then you would have said, "Oh, not my wife," and then he would have said, "Oh my God,
Right.
I need to get tickets right now."
There's an edit here. Thank you so much for the overwhelming support. We went to bed and then woke up to almost 200 notifications. That's crazy. My wife and I sat down a couple of hours ago and had a discussion about what our next steps should be. We've both agreed that we were going to have a family meeting with my family this Monday and confront them head on.
Do it.
We feel that this is the best way to handle the situation, and we honestly just need answers directly from them. As for the comments, a lot of you brought up gaslighting and how it causes rifts in families, so we're going to learn a little bit more about it to protect ourselves. I made a vow to my wife when we got married that I'd put her first and make her my priority, and I'm sticking to it. Again, thank you so much for all your support, and hopefully I can make an update post to fill you guys in on everything. Greatest wishes. There's a comment here. Let's comment. Comment number 1. You're in the queer community, you know this is intentional. But let's just say this one time your father made an honest mistake, and that wasn't his intention. Based on your family's history on excluding your wife, you have every right to assume. Call them out, and if need be, go low contact. I know it's hurtful, but your presence in the family is an ultimate bargaining chip. If they are still crappy, then you can put them on probation until they improve, and there's an update. Let's just go ahead and dive
right in.
and swim right through
I
it.
think that's a good idea.
First off, thank you all for the positivity. It's been amazing seeing so much support. We didn't post an update yesterday since it was Valentine's Day, so we're posting it today. We had a family meeting at our house on Monday, and it was interesting. I started with reminding my dad what he did, how it matched up to all the other times, how it made her and I feel, and how his and my mom's reactions made us feel. I told him that my wife is my everything, and what we do together. Our marriage is just as valid. You either want us in your life or you don't, and lately your actions have told us the latter. Then I brought up gaslighting. We did some digging the previous night, watching videos, and read articles to better understand it. I explained to them what it was, how they did it, and how it made us feel. My conclusion was my reasoning for planning this separate vacation with my wife's family. My sister started crying. She apologized for not saying anything and not paying attention. Her husband was upset as well. My sister said, "You have to book a different flight, Dad." To which I pointed out that it was too late. Our vacation was already booked, and we couldn't bail on it. My sister said, "Well, then we're not going to Italy then. You two, Mom and Dad, can go, but we're not. I feel horrible now." Cue an argument between my parents and my sister.
I feel like this sister's kind of making it better self.
Sister's like, "I feel bad.
This makes me feel bad because you're not going.
Hot dog."
Oh, it's like, no, be like, you know what? Hey, I'll support you. I'm not going to go either. This is not fair to you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I feel so bad. It makes me sad. Shut up.
I'm going to go to Italy without you. I'm sad. And it's like, no, be sad that our parents are bigoting my wife, dude. What are we doing?
Bigoting her.
My wife and I sat there with our mouths hung open until my sister and her husband got up and left. My suspicions were right. The reason why my wife and I were being treated unfairly was because of inheritance fears.
What? They didn't want to give you an inheritance? Because what?
What?
That doesn't make any sense.
Is it because of your wife?
I'm so confused. Like, is the point that they're being that they're?
I think it's yes. I think it's both.
Being and also they're like, oh, you're not gonna have any kids, and also that's just an assumption too.
I've got the next sentence.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Their explanation was that they didn't want inheritance, quote, getting into the wrong hands, so they wanted to dote on my sister and her husband to ensure that it won't. Their actual words. Now, that's right. They confirmed everything because they basically said, yes, we treat your sister and her husband better, and we're driving it home with the inheritance. It sounds like they don't want their inheritance going to people who are not heteronormative.
Wow, and that's I think it's time to maybe like go very, very low to no contact with these people.
I would just like give them
Goodbye.
one fart and say goodbye forever. I hope that's what I think of you. Peace out. It ended with my parents leaving angry, not at their actions, but the fact that they were getting called out. From this point on, we will be going low contact with my parents and maybe try to amend things between my sister and her husband. We will not attend gatherings or events if one or both of us feel excluded. We will demand that we be treated just as seriously. We now know our boundaries and we will set them. And by the way, you can set your earbuds into your ears and then listen to full episodes with stories like this. All you have to do is go to iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and search OK Storytime. And that's all you got to do.
Easy peasy. But there's a little bit left to this story.
There's a little bit left of the
I
story.
think
Any final thoughts, Sophia?
you gotta cut them off. They freaking stink. They're stinky, and they don't care about you or your partner.
It was a very heartbreaking experience, and we were disgusted at the whole thing, and we still are. Right now, we just have to take this time to move forward. I doubt we'll be able to make any more updates beyond this, but again, we wanted to thank you all for the advice, love, and support. We truly appreciate it. This was a throwaway, but I think I'm going to keep this account up, but just not save the login info. What a quirky guy. Thank you so much, and best wishes. We got some comments. Until the inheritance comes up, I doubt they'll split it equally, if not bequeathed. I've seen the worst of people surrounding inheritances, tossing family under the bus. Reply, OP says she doesn't need it anyway, while her sister does, so it wouldn't be the end of the world if it was uneven split, but it better at least acknowledge OP properly. I mean, like, no, because if my parents like don't like me or my wife just being the way that we are, then I'm gonna be like, I don't want your stinky
I wouldn't want
turd
any
money.
of it. I mean, if
I don't want your money.
you're comfortable enough to like not need it, then I would not want to be indebted to them at all.
My mother-in-law won't stop showing up at my home. I refuse to let her in.
You shall not pass.
Hi there, long-time lurker, first-time poster. Just wanting to vent about what happened yesterday and open to advice on how to handle things going forward. I see the advice all the time of just don't answer the door if they show up, so that's what I did yesterday. By the way, this comes from Whoa. And if you want to submit your own stories, just go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, for brief background, it's been a long and hard road with mother-in-law. She was always distant but domineering when I would have to see her, but became unhinged and controlling once I became pregnant, which often seems to be the case. As a result of her behavior, I will absolutely not be alone with her now and will not host her for visits unless my partner is there. I also have pushed back on her contacting me via phone by referring her back to my partner. She believes that she is entitled to weekly visits with grandchild, even though prior to this, she did not have that type of relationship with her son. They would only see each other for birthday dinners and other obligatory holidays. So yesterday, I was at home with my baby. My partner was out for the day and he messaged me, "Mom wants to come over." I text back advising him just to say, that doesn't work for us. I asked what time she was aiming for so I could be alert just in case. He told me he had said no and that was that. Or would have been with a normal person. About 45 minutes before when she wanted to visit, I noticed out the window what I was pretty sure was her car, parked too far away for me to be sure, but on an angle looking over into our window. She's just like prime spot for spying.
She's got binoculars and she's like, I'll be there soon.
Oh my goodness. Hard to describe, but it was just up a connecting side street, if that makes sense. I thought, surely not, but lowered the blinds just in case. I went about my business. It was nap time, so I got the baby down for that. Not easy for us at the moment. And then went back out to our living area. I spied out the window and could see the car was still there. I felt creeped out and lowered the blinds a bit more. I sat on the couch and got onto some admin I needed to. About 15 minutes after, when she wanted to come over, there was a loud knock at the door. I froze and ignored it. There was a knock again, louder. I ignored it and ducked down completely. The blinds were open about an inch now, so I hid out of the view of that and stayed down. After the knocking, I could see the shadow of someone walking along the window, up and back, I assumed trying to see in. I knew it was her, and I was certain that she was trying to wake up the baby with her knocking, thinking that that was her ticket in. Miraculously, the baby stayed asleep. Very nice. I texted my partner, "What is happening?" and waited until it sounded like she had left and then commando crawled to another window for a better view. I watched her move her car, driving past the front of my house to park on the other side, still on my street, but where I think she would have thought she was out of view. It was so creepy. I called my partner and asked what he said to his mom. He said that he told her not today. I said, well, she's definitely here anyway. He said that he wasn't there and that he didn't know what myself and my baby were up to, so we might be out or doing nap time or whatever, but that it wasn't a good day. You'll note this is way more detail than he should have shared. She has then started texting him asking what is going on and complaining that she was knocking and no one answered. My partner says that he repeated that it wasn't a good day to visit. She apparently got angry and said that she was too upset and distraught by this to even discuss it and that they would be talking about it when he got back. She's gonna wait at their house until he gets back.
She's like, fine, I've been here for ages. And he's like, I'm not there. And she's like, okay, I'll just be in my car. I'll wait.
One small win, my partner said that he could see that this was manipulative. I felt violated and outraged. She was upset by what? She was told no, tried to barge in anyway, and didn't get in. She would have known I was home because I suspect that she was surveilling us before I realized, which is just so unsettling.
What is she, a PI? What's going on here? Just also to clarify, so she was supposed to come over originally?
She asked if she could come over originally.
They said no, but she's probably said, like, I'll be over at this time.
Yeah, and then the husband was just like, no, it's not a good day. Like, they'll be working home and then just, like, nap time and stuff like that. And she's like, okay. So that tells me that they're going to be home and they can hear me and they will accept me anyway. Maybe she was assuming that there wasn't any communication between OP and the husband.
Yeah, maybe she's like, partners don't talk.
He said no, but she'll be fine with it. She'll have to be.
She's like, mom said no, but I'll ask dad.
I wish I could say this ended here. 2.5 hours later, I was on a FaceTime call and finally felt okay putting the blinds up again. I am mid-conversation, and who should drive past again but mother-in-law with the biggest crap-eating grin? My heart rate instantly jumped, and I felt panicked. I had to get out of there.
Freaking Freddy Krueger right now.
It's terrifying. I packed our stuff up, and we left. There is so much wrong with this. The manipulation to say to her son how upset she is, yet drive back past again, practically cackling, is unhinged. The prolonged stalking of me in my own home is unhinged. The refusal to accept a no, unhinged.
A lot of unhinged.
Yeah, she's very unhinged.
Get those doors checked.
Anyway, I now feel shaken and paranoid and kept my blinds down today. I am not looking forward to seeing her more than usual. My partner has said, well, we need to tell her what she's doing wrong because she doesn't know. She does know, though. She is very conniving and adapts her behavior to the audience, so clearly on some level she knows something is wrong. I've also found anytime I have to address anything, it gets nowhere. Thanks to this sub, I've now learned not to engage in justified, argue, defend, or explaining behaviors with her. I guess any advice on what to say to her that is firm and doesn't let her play the victim in this would be helpful. Obviously, my partner has not been ideal in this. We've had to come a long way from him saying, that's just how mom is, to acknowledging this behavior is unreasonable. Also, advice on how to make it clear to someone who doesn't listen that we will not be seeing her as much as she wants to see us. I cannot stomach weekly visits with this woman. Monthly or obligatory occasions is the best I could do, and given everything that's happened, that is more generous than I'd like to be. Sorry for such a ramble. Thank you for reading, and also thank you to this sub. It's been a real lifeline in difficult times and a great source of advice. But there is an update. So how would you handle with a woman like this mother-in-law?
Move countries. You gotta leave the country. Truly. And change your name. I don't know. I feel like the husband needs to handle all of this. You know? Yeah. Like, what are you supposed to do? You're trying to take care of a baby, and this mother-in-law is freaking you out. Beyond getting a restraining order, I feel like the husband needs to set down the law of the land.
Absolutely. Honestly, like, put up security cameras. That's a good thing to do. Put up security cameras so you have proof. And then see her parked car, just like full-time job stalking you guys. And then be like, if you keep doing this, dude, I'm going to call the police. You got to really get the law involved. But there is an update, so let's see what they ended up doing. I am very emotional writing this, so apologies in advance for my rambling. It's been a long and very hard road with this mother-in-law. Firstly, thank you to everyone who replied. I read every response and appreciated them all deeply. As that was my first Reddit post, I didn't realize it would be locked so soon, and I wouldn't be able to reply to anyone, so apologies for that. I took some time to digest it all. My update isn't great. My partner got back from work and was distant and not very communicative. I thought, okay, he's tired. I'll give him some time to rest before we discuss. Days of this awful silence rolled by. Twice in this time I said, is there anything you want to discuss with me? To no avail. If the shoe was on the other foot and my parents had behaved this way to him, I would not need to be asked to deal with it. I would be calling my parents and saying, what the bleep was that? Immediately. I am Australian, by way of explanation. Anyway, I have felt lonely and isolated, living alongside someone barely talking to me and checked out from helping me with anything until today. Today I was working from home and he had the day off. When I had a lunch break and baby was in daycare, I gave him another opportunity to address things. He said that he had spoken to his dad this morning about the situation, and his dad was surprised to hear that there was any issue with his mom. He was shocked at how these perceptions of her behavior. I did not witness the phone call, but would not be surprised if my partner threw me under the bus for all of it. He asked if his dad would mediate and speak to his mom about the problematic behavior, but he refused and said no, my partner would need to. That his dad was in complete denial about her is shocking, but not surprising. I have had many suggestive comments from his family suggesting that there is an awareness that mother-in-law can be bossy and controlling, exact examples being a sister of hers describing her as a very A-type personality and likes things a certain way. This was the first time I met her. Another example from a different sister being, well, you know how she is, in response to my partner talking about some overbearing behavior during my pregnancy. From my partner and his siblings, I have heard that they regularly witnessed their mother yelling and screaming at their dad growing up, that corporal punishment was used, that silent treatment was regularly used if they questioned anything, and that she can never admit that she is wrong. Wow. So I guess that my partner's dad is a victim of all of this too. A frog in boiling water, so to speak. It is not surprising that he escapes to play golf so much now that he is retired. But still, this was very disappointing to hear. Oh my goodness. So literally everyone is like experiencing this manipulative and, possibly abusive woman. And they're just kind of like, well, that's mom.
That's just mom for you. You know how mom is. She's just terrible. No one likes her.
Like, if that's just how mom is, we should know that this is easy to believe that she's doing this stuff. Anyway, to move to more disappointment, my partner then shifted blame over to me.
No.
He said that I am the one with the problem with her and that he doesn't want to assassinate her character.
This is the problem. This was always the problem. The problem is that you are experiencing a lot of weird behavior and a lot of boundary crossing behavior from your mother-in-law. And honestly, it probably would be fine if your partner was on your side, but your partner has not been on your side.
Yeah. I mean, the partner is obviously like also a victim to this manipulation and everything, but it's like that still doesn't mean that you have to succumb to that and like also be a victim. Like you can stand up for yourself still. Oh my goodness. Therefore, I am the one who needs to have a talk to her about all of this. I think that the fact that two men who have been around her for a long time are afraid to have a conversation with her speaks volumes. Apparently, his dad said that they assume we had broken up, and that's why my partner has no control of when they can visit.
What? Like saying like, oh, we just assumed that you guys had broken up because otherwise your husband would be able to let us come and visit the baby.
Yeah, which is a wild thing to come out with, if you ask me. Though, of course, not the most wild when I was pregnant and began to avoid mother-in-law's controlling when she would talk to me about having a miscarriage, which is beyond shocking. And I believe some subliminal desire or threat she was expressing. I wish this wasn't the case, but it was. I didn't even know how to respond at the time. I was so caught off guard. Oh my goodness. That is beyond wild. Oh my gosh. My partner accused me again of wanting him to cut his family off, which is not the case. Given the circumstances, I think maintaining their traditional family contact of around birthdays, occasions only is more than fair. I have also encouraged him to go and visit them without me if that was normal for him, but he won't do it. Not even phone calls. He justifies this, saying that they don't have the same interests and that they don't want to see him, only our baby. We're getting so many mixed signals from this husband.
I know. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, is this some sort of like subconscious thing that like he just doesn't want to see these people but doesn't really know or recognize that feeling?
Yeah, he's like, I don't like my parents, but no, I love them.
It's just because like they don't want to see me. They just want to see the baby. There's something wrong with them. I just don't want to be around them.
He's not fully computing.
Oh boy, everyone needs therapy.
Yeah, big time.
But if the fact that he won't spend time with them alone isn't a red flag, I don't know what is. I should mention that this isn't unique to him. His siblings also have to be bullied into contact with mother-in-law. It regularly comes up that they couldn't meet with her because of stomach aches. Again, I am talking about adults in their 30s here, the tummy aches or avoidance. To have 3 children and all avoid you with the exception of obligation? OP says, again, red flag. It absolutely is a red flag. 100%. Anyway, suffice to say that I'm extremely distressed. I had trouble breathing earlier, like a panic attack, and that is not usual for me. It is just shocking to me that my partner is making out like I am the problem when I feel like a victim in this. I feel uncomfortable in my own home now. I have reminded him that I am on his team and that I want to find a solution. I understand that it is not a good situation, but it seems to be for nothing. And it gets worse.
No, stop getting worse.
Please. His parents were him to come over and visit today again. If the husband is using the word and is not seeing a problem.
Yeah, he's like, my parents keep me, and Opie's like, okay, well, let's set up boundaries. He's like, no, I love them. They're great.
Yeah, it's like, make it make sense. I thought they were coming from their home an hour away. After a lot of back and forth, I said to my partner, if it would make his life easier, maybe we could meet briefly in a neutral location, but I wanted the stalking incident addressed directly. He said that he had already told them to go home. Interesting. Unbeknown to me, they were waiting at a cafe just around the corner from us, about 150 meters away.
Close.
And they were pushing to come over. Of course, they had an excuse for being in the area, but I don't buy it. This is as very triggering after feeling like I was being hunted in my own home by them just the other day. To provide more detail, I have recently started back at work and anticipated my mother-in-law would try and take over once I returned. Also, that she would try and steamroll my partner. I negotiated to work from home with my work, and she attempted to direct me to attend the office full time. Yes, she did. Of course, when my partner was not present. Because of this, I organized for the baby to be in daycare. I'm glad I trusted my intuition on that because I think this is what happened today. She thought I would be away and she could force her way in to ignore my boundary. She has always been desperate to have my baby alone, which is very concerning for me. Me too. If a person's crazy like this and they want to be alone with your child,
Yeah, I would be like, no, you're never going to be alone with my baby. Sorry.
weird. My partner's response to this has been more distressing than I imagined. I guess based on conversations we had pre-baby, I thought we were on the same page when creating this family unit, but that is not the case. A hard reality to confront. I am not someone who has high conflict relationships or is unreliable, so to not be believed when I'm saying to him, hey, there's a big issue here, is very hard. I've only skimmed the surface with these posts, but there is an extensive list of behavior and boundary stomping from her that has gotten us to this point. Thank you if you've read my vent this far, and I guess if things are coming to a crunch, I'm the one left standing to have a conversation with my mother-in-law. So what do I say? How do I approach this? I have kept her blocked on my phone since the stalking incident. And by the way, how you can approach listening to full episodes with my stories like these is just go into your favorite podcast app. Just go to iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you choose, and search OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more, but what would our answers be so far?
At the end of the day, like, your mother-in-law's crazy, but you don't have a mother-in-law problem so much as you have a husband problem. And you guys need to get on the same page and either go to like therapy, have a conversation, because if you can't get on the same page, if he can't be like rooting for you, standing up for you, then it's not an effective partnership.
Yeah, because if like at first he was still using the excuses of like, oh, it's just how she is, and then you've done a lot of work to get him to the point of recognizing the manipulation. I wonder how long it took to get from point A to point B with that, because then also too, like, it obviously seems like, you know, maybe he recognizes it but doesn't quite know what to do when he's in that situation, and kind of is used to the dynamic that he's had his whole life of like just dealing with it and just going along with it, you know. So he's definitely has an issue and needs to learn how to stand up and work around this manipulation. So I don't know what you would say to her, but maybe just what's on your thoughts and just like trying to level with them. But there is a tiny bit more to note. I am aware my partner has failed catastrophically to protect my baby, and I in this. I love when they listen to us. Instead, we are being offered as his meat shield to someone even he doesn't want to spend time with. It is devastating to beg for understanding from him and be met with, I don't know why you're so emotional about this. I've had this woman playing her covert games and with me since pregnancy. I feel like with people like this, like people who are just so like manipulative, for any sort of argument they have a clapback. Even if it doesn't make sense, they've got something to say. So I feel like, I mean, depending on the person, it probably won't help in a lot of cases, but like if with some people, if you just like calmly talk to them and try your best, even though it doesn't make sense, to just like try to see their thought process, not trying to believe them or anything like that, but just to hopefully explain it in a way where they can maybe see how crazy it is and just explain themselves back to them. That sometimes helps, but if you come out swinging, it's never gonna end. So you gotta start calm at least.
Yeah, my advice is just to kind of try and get through to your husband. But that is the end of that story.
My mother has been insufferable. She wanted to ambush my girlfriend.
What is she in the Navy SEALs?
I, 24 female, have a complicated relationship with my mother, 50 female, who constantly has my life under a microscope despite not relying on her since my late teen years. I kept limited contact through college, and trying to make amends with her these last 2 years is incredibly frustrating as she believes she still has power over me and my life. By the way, this comes from user Chaotic Imp, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Although our past disputes aren't necessarily related, she has been wildly hateful to me in the past about being a sapphic despite being completely fine with other queer communities besides sapphics. Because of this, I didn't inform her of my 4-year relationship with my girlfriend, 26 female, until early July this year when we were moving apartments. We U-hauled and have been quote-unquote roommates for the last 4 years to her knowledge. She didn't react or say anything when I told her and barely acknowledges it if I ever bring our relationship or my girlfriend up. My siblings, grandparents, and extended family all adore my girlfriend, so in my mind, when my grandparents invited us, I had no thought in my mind my mother would cause such a nightmare for me because of it. I had mentioned to my mother that my girlfriend was coming for the holidays, and she didn't say anything. Due to a change in my travel plans, I have to drive her down with her, so I texted asking which car we were taking so there'd be enough room for my partner and I as well. She proceeds to spam text me, telling me that if my partner comes, she, quote, can't be herself and say whatever she wants, doesn't feel comfortable wearing pajamas around her, and wants it to just be about family and not about her, and then proceeds to send me links about breaking up before the holidays. Neurotic. I asked my grandparents what to do because unfortunately my mother, their child, is the type of person that when she's unhappy, everyone else has to suffer with her. So if my partner comes and my mom is unsufferable, it will very likely unalive everyone else's chance at enjoying the holiday. I'm talking like hissy fits, starving yourself, taking off when things don't go her way, etc., etc. My grandparents advised me just to have my partner sit this one out for the sake of allowing everyone a chance to enjoy the holiday season. But they do agree my mother is selfish. However, there isn't much they can do about her being emotionally volatile. I give them some grace as my grandfather is recovering from heart surgery, so truly, if any stress can be avoided, it's for the best. So I had already given my girlfriend a warning earlier this week and broke the news to her today that she's not going to be able to come to hopefully preserve any ounce of normality I can with my mother. My girlfriend is understandably angry and disappointed with me for not standing my ground. It hurts that she can't empathize with me on this, but I really don't want to cause extra stress on this trip. It really stinks because I was very excited to have my girlfriend spend the holidays with my family, only for one person's unhappiness to ruin everything. Is there anything I can do to make everyone happy? And there is an update here. Due to getting violently ill over Christmas, my partner and I did not attend the original trip. Despite my mother, 50 female, initially uninviting my girlfriend, she reached out in mid-February about visiting my grandfather in his 70s as he is still declining in health, and invited my girlfriend along too. I don't know what I was thinking, but I was under the impression that this was an olive branch after her behavior surrounding the Christmas trip. Unfortunately, within 48 hours, my mother went full-blown nuclear. On the first day with my grandparents, she loudly and openly crap-talked me, saying I have no ambitions and am wasting my life away. I minimized most opportunities to talk to her that day. On the second day, she refused to engage in conversation with almost everyone and kept walking off and doing her own thing, which wasn't unusual. I had no way of foreseeing how this day would escalate. That evening, my grandparents wanted to go out to dinner, but my mother claimed she was, quote, allergic to restaurant air and opted to stay behind. Out of the blue, in the middle of dinner, I got an urgent text, quote, your mom is effing crazy. Call me, from my best friend and roommate, sent to both me and my partner. Apparently, my mom had called my best friend to crap talk my partner, calling her an controlling, Bible-thumping, hateful, heavy-drinking bigot. She pieced this together from my girlfriend saying she wishes I would put myself out there because I deserve a better job, having horrible religious trauma, feeling that the Amelia Perez movie diluted the trans experience, and having maybe 2 high noons. How that translates in my mother's mind is beyond me.
Hey, you want my daughter to, stand up for her value and, get a better job and everything? You bigot.
You are a monster. According to my mother, my girlfriend is awful and, quote, dimming my light. She said something to the effect that my girlfriend is making me an uglier, worse person to control me and trap me in a relationship. She even went so far as to threaten my best friend, saying she'd call my father, whom she hates and who has never been a presence in our lives. My best friend, trying to placate my mother, said that there was nothing to be worried about and that the ideas she made up about my partner were entirely baseless, but my mom escalated further, threatening to make the car ride home miserable. Quote, if she, my girlfriend, doesn't talk to me, it's gonna be a long car ride for her. I can't bite my tongue any longer. Props to my bestie. She had the foresight to record the last 20 minutes of the hour-long phone call, so I got to hear the unhinged nonsense straight from the horse's mouth. At first, I was absolutely stunned that my mother would call my best friend because they don't even talk, which crossed so many boundaries in and of itself. But the next day's 12-hour drive home loomed over me. I couldn't put myself or my girlfriend in a position to be yelled at for hours. At a loss on how to proceed, I immediately told my partner and my grandparents. They were stunned, but no one was exactly shocked given my mother's track record. After talking through my options, I spoke with my mother that night. She was completely unhinged. And I told her that if she has problems with me, the people I choose to spend my time with, or what I choose to do, she should talk to me about it. Instead, she mostly talked over me, accused me of reporting my family to CPS as a child, which I didn't, claimed I made up a history of her being a and completely avoided discussing what she said about my partner. I corrected her on the insane accusations, but she never once apologized for what she said about my girlfriend. Afterward, I spoke with my girlfriend, and neither of us felt safe driving back with her, especially since my mother ended our conversation by threatening to, quote, pop off if I said something she didn't like. We decided to avoid staying in a hostile situation for 12 hours by renting a car, especially because we both had to work the next morning, and my mother had already mentioned stopping at multiple places along the way. When I tried to bring it up, I first asked Mom about our travel plans, hoping to ease into the conversation. Despite a decent conversation beforehand, she got totally offended that I even asked about the trip back. I started by simply asking if she still planned to make stops, and she immediately snapped. Don't effing ask me what I want to do. I'll do whatever I want. I'll stop if I want to stop. Don't ask me about crap like that. Awesome. Trying to de-escalate, I explained that I was curious because my partner and I had work in the morning, to which she snapped, no dip, no duh, no doy, duh. At that point, my grandfather stepped in and said point blank, the girls want to take a rental car home because they need to get back and don't think they can stop, but they were scared to talk to you.
Nice one, Grandpa.
Oh, Gramps, no! You've opened Pandora's box.
Pandora's
Gramps.
box.
No.
We are about to crash out in all directions conceived in the universe.
Honestly, I'm thinking that if I was put in this situation, I'm Irish goodbying for sure. Immediately upon hearing this, she turned to me and spat. You're disgusting. I invite you to come with me, and you don't have any respect for me. You're a liar. I said I didn't want to stop anywhere. But even if I did, you knew going into it, you went behind my back. I don't even want to look at you right now. And then she stormed off, slammed the door, ka-boom, and left the house. My grandfather was so done. He packed us up in minutes and took us straight to the rental car service. It was heartbreaking to have such an abrupt end to what was supposed to be a nice long weekend with my grandparents, but unfortunately this is nothing new. I haven't heard from my mother since we left. We're still on the road, 6 hours left. My brother spoke to her, and apparently I've been disowned because I took things too far. And you know what? By the way, you can take things, namely yourself and your ears, and you can take them over to your podcast platform of choice, and you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify or iHeartRadio or Apple Podcasts, literally wherever you listen to podcasts, search OK Storytime, and you can have it all.
Wow.
Right there in the palm of your hand. My grandmother also spoke to her and said that my mother had changed her plans and scheduled work for herself in the morning. She apparently was planning to drive straight home, but she never told anyone that. She also insists that she didn't say anything offensive about my girlfriend, which is ridiculous. There's no way she thought my best friend and I wouldn't tell my girlfriend exactly what she said. My grandmother and all but one of my siblings disagreed with my decision to leave in a rental and think I made the situation worse. Wow. Okay, so you've got grandma and everyone but one sibling.
Yes.
All of those people have worms in their brain.
I don't know. Like, I don't even know if you should do this, but I would just be compelled to go to them and ask, do you want to continue to suffer under the insanity of my mother? Is that what you want to continue doing? Like, how are we not at least addressing the real issue here.
Right. Which is mom.
Not me.
But see, I have a feeling it's because they might not be having these issues.
My wife went on a work trip and came home with a bug bite.
Oh, that's a very human-shaped bug, I would assume.
A vampire.
Yeah, perhaps.
I'm 27 male in a fight with my wife, 28 female. We've had fights before, but not this bad. I'm at a loss on how to proceed. For context, we're college sweethearts married for almost 6 years. We have a daughter, 4 female. Our relationship was never perfect or without challenges. By the way, this comes from Throwaway Sunflower Buff. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. We've faced some family opposition with cultural differences, but we've made it work. She's my first love and my best friend. My wife works in corporate. Her job is annual work retreats that last for about a week. This year was in Vegas.
Oh, no.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Uh-oh.
They have really big bugs in Vegas.
I usually arrange my work schedule and tag along with her, and we make our own trip of it. We couldn't this year. Our daughter gets major anxiety traveling long distances. We're working on it, but she wasn't budging. And we decided to choose our battles. So I stood behind and held down the fort at home. The change of plans was a bummer because the trip was part of us reconnecting as both a couple and as a family. My wife's work hours had taken a toll, and her work-life balance leaves much to be desired. We entertained the idea of her skipping the retreat. Attendance is optional, but it's generally frowned upon if you don't. And my wife's making connections in her field. She's grown increasingly weird. We have a system. If either of us is away for extended periods, we keep in contact. For the first day or so, she was herself, but she grew distant. I'd even text her about important stuff and be left on read while she claimed she never saw my text. Whenever we talked, she was rushing me or our daughter off the phone. These were all times she wasn't involved in retreat activities. We were supposed to have a mini birthday celebration for our daughter over FaceTime. Our daughter was excited. It was something my wife promised her because the retreat overlapped her actual birthday. But my wife backed out because she had people up to her room after a seminar. It was like she wanted my permission to break her promise to our daughter. I told her I wasn't offering that nor making her keep her word. She said I wasn't being fair and this was a networking opportunity. They were business oriented and wouldn't understand her stepping away from family time. I said her decision is her decision, but she'd have to explain it to our daughter. She promised her that she'd rain check the following day. Our daughter didn't understand. She's 4.
You can't rain check your 4-year-old daughter's birthday.
And cried. My wife ended up hanging up and leaving me to comfort our daughter alone. That whole incident rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. She didn't keep her word for the rain check either. She was documenting the retreat on social media. One coworker, 23 male, was almost in every pic and video attached to her hip. In one pic, he had his arm too comfortably around her, in my opinion.
Work husband.
He's a recent hire in my wife's department. She was asked to oversee him. Yeah, I bet she oversaw him.
Yeah, I bet
she saw over him.
I bet she explored his whole...
I don't like the guy. He doesn't know boundaries. Once, in response to a work assignment, he texted my wife that she's exactly the kind of woman he needs to keep in check. My wife brushed it off. She feels bad for him because he's not fitting in. I'm sure he's fitting in all just fine.
Oh.
She took him under her wing, yeah, during his first retreat with the team. If I'd question, she'd say she was tired or networking. There was always something, but I've seen her at these retreats. This wasn't like her. She was just off. The day before her return home, she complained about a bruise on her neck. She stressed it was a bug bite. Oh, so she's doing the pre-planning. She's like, I got this weird rash on my neck.
That's crazy.
And it's so funny because it looks like you're gonna laugh. It looks like,
you're gonna laugh. It looks like
a
Greg
bug
was
bite.
slurping on
Yeah,
my
but
neck,
no,
but
but,
really
like,
it was a bug that has yet
bugs.
to be discovered by science.
They're
There's
so
not a name for
big.
it yet. They're looking for it though.
I didn't actually see the bruise until she came home. I instantly thought it was a full-on spicy kiss. She kind of brushed it off after making a big deal of it over the phone. I didn't push because her daughter was present. But when I was able to confront her, she clung to her bug bite claim. When I kept pushing, she asked, "What was I trying to imply?" I outright said I believe she had a spicy kiss. And I didn't believe she was being honest with me. We had it out then. She was offended and pissed at the accusation. Infidelity has always been a sore topic. Her family has a history of infidelity. So we had a pretty bad fight, and she accused me of looking to pick a fight due to the incident with our daughter's birthday. I told her it had nothing to do with that, and everything to do with a spicy kiss on her neck. The fight ended in an impasse. We're still not recovered. She swears it's a bug bite, but I'm not convinced. convinced. I've always trusted my wife. I've never doubted her, but this bruise doesn't look like a bug bite. It looks like a spicy kiss. I only feel more strongly when I consider how distant and weird she was during the Vegas retreat. Now she's wearing turtlenecks ever since, and we're caught between arguing and her dousing our daughter and me with affection. Communication usually prevails for us, but not now. I think my accusation pushed us to a new level of argument. I'm at a loss here. I really need outside perspectives. Relevant comments. Football 10 fan says, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I've never gotten a bug bite that looked like a bruise. Did she show you her phone or provide any proof that could support her innocence or just dismiss you? The extra affection is a common move from guilt-ridden cheaters. Even if we stretch the imagination and believe it is a bug bite, she wasn't acting trustworthy, nor was she a good mother while she was in Vegas, and she needs to address and correct that. OP says, no, I haven't had access to her phone. We usually have an open phone policy, but it's not something we've ever really done. I'm sure it'll be another argument. Chapechi says, why did you go on work trips with her in the past? Did she want you to? Or did you not want her to go alone? What is and why is it necessary to have the system when one of you is away? Whose idea was the FaceTime birthday celebration? Did she not talk to the daughter at all on her birthday or just couldn't do the FaceTime celebration? OP says work-life balance was an issue, so she'd invite me on the retreats. The system is for an extended periods away from each other, like how long the retreat was, especially since we have a child now. The birthday FaceTime was my wife's idea. She promised our daughter and got her excited about it. No, she didn't talk with our daughter until she was calling to cancel. That's another reason the birthday stunt rubbed me the wrong way. OP responded, deleted comment. Yeah, you don't get to disconnect from being a parent, especially to a minor, for extended holidays. You certainly don't ghost them on their birthday. And when you promise to do something special for them and got the child excited about it, or hang up on them while they're crying. I'm not insecure. My wife's gone on the retreats before. We both work outside the home and have the caring for our daughter. So it's not an imbalance. My wife's work-life balance is out of sorts. She's in the company of other adults plenty. I've been with my wife on these retreats and other social events. I know how she is. She was off this entire trip, nor was it appreciated her entertaining a coworker who ignores boundaries, having his arm wrapped around her waist like he was claiming her or something. I trusted her when she said she had a bug bite. I got things to help her treat it for when she returned. It was only after I saw the bruise in person that there was no mistaking it was a bruise for me, and I questioned her on it. And there is an update. I, 27 male, wanted to give an update and thank everyone who reached out. The outside perspectives helped. Things are a roller coaster. I'm trying to process. It took a while for my wife, 28 female, and me to have any real conversation about the bruise on her neck. We were stuck between arguing and her showering our daughter, 4 female, and me with affection. I rarely saw the bruise because she was turtlenecked up, but I did note the healing process from reddish purple to yellow. There wasn't any more discussions about the Vegas retreat. She made it clear she was done talking about it and that she shouldn't need to defend herself to her husband. I told her she could do whatever she wanted, but I was done being treated like an idiot and I wasn't sharing a bed with someone I couldn't trust. So I moved into the guest room. Communication stopped. The silences were palpable. Even our daughter noticed. I'm not proud of that. I tried keeping her out of fights. My wife came to the guest room one night and asked if we could talk. I could tell she'd been crying. She said she hated the way things were between us. She felt she was losing me either way. I told her I needed complete honesty. She confessed. She hooked up with that coworker, 23 male, on our daughter's birthday.
It was a gift for our daughter, 23 hot male.
It was from him. She was lost in the heat of the moment and didn't realize he was attached to her neck. By her account, they made out while doing some on top of the clothes stuff, and then he went down on her. It stopped there because he called her by a nickname that I affectionately call her. It snapped her back to the reality of her actions.
Is that what she's trying to? She's trying to make it like.
On.
I remembered that I'm married to you.
Spur of the moment does not happen in the way. Like, you can.
Also, what's the
stop
nickname? Why does he know the nickname, by the way?
Well, it's probably just like, sweetie, honey. She went to splash water on her face and saw the bruise. The guy made light of it and made a joke about the bruise being her souvenir. She blew up on him and punted him out of her suite.
No, she didn't.
Part of the reason she was avoiding me was out of guilt. She said she's coming clean because she doesn't want to hide things anymore. I asked her why she cheated. What was it about the guy she deemed worth risking everything? She claimed it wasn't him specifically, nor is she unhappy with our marriage. She doesn't really know how to explain it, but a part of her feels broken. The more she looks in the mirror, the more she sees her dad, 57 male, a cycle of being consumed with work, distant from child, and the infidelity he put her mom, 55 female. She said her family never talked about anything openly and how when she was growing up, my mother-in-law never addressed anything with her. her. I said her parents didn't make her cheat. She chose to party up with a guy who constantly disrespected our relationship. These were all her decisions, and she at any point could have chosen our family. She agreed. She wants to blame her parents, but realizes this is on her. She apologized for cheating and for entertaining the guy's advances. She said she'll do whatever it takes to repair, go to HR, quit her job, counseling, anything. She wants to make everything right. I told her I don't know what right looks like or if that's possible for us anymore. I knew we had our problems, but I thought there wasn't anything we couldn't talk out. She insisted we still could talk it out. We didn't have to give up on us. She tried giving this rally cry for our relationship, but I felt very numb.
All right, so the plan was to go together as a family and fix the exact thing that you're saying feels broken. But you premeditated going out there and hooking up with this other guy.
Absolutely. I mean, she knew she would probably has been flirting with him or entertaining.
The spur of the moment. I don't know what came over me type thing. This was a plan.
I said I didn't recognize her. Not just the betrayal of our vows, but also how she treated our daughter. She's like a stranger. She feels she failed as a wife and a mom, but she loves us both beyond words and wants our life together and our family intact. I told her I couldn't give her the answer she wanted and thought we needed to separate and reevaluate. She didn't want separation. She felt we should stay together in our home, but I told her a separation was happening. Either she was leaving the home or I was with our daughter. She consented to leaving so as to best not uproot our daughter so much. She asked for our daughter not to be taken away from her. My wife's staying with my in-laws. I know that's difficult in itself because she doesn't have the best relationship with her parents. One of the hardest parts is the shift for our daughter. Right now, she believes her mom's just busy with work per usual. She hasn't questioned it too much. My mother-in-law called the other day. She made no excuses for my wife, but she's advocating for us to work through it. She told me times when she heard my wife describe me as the anchor she always wanted. She believes there's something worth fighting for if I'm open. Despite some family opposition we faced through our relationship, my mother-in-law was always a supporter of us. I'm even more at a loss. I never imagined this kind of betrayal from my wife. She was my safe place. I feel numb, yet broken. I'm in love with her. That hasn't changed, but I don't see myself, her, our relationship, or our family the same. Everything's more tense because it's fresh. I think this period of separation is for the best. I'm not sure about divorce. I haven't let myself fully go there. I'm not set either way. I don't know where things go from here, but I'm focusing on our daughter and taking things one step at a time. I feel that's all I can do right now. Thanks again to everyone for the support. And there are some relevant comments and I think another update. Toger Sex says it was already established that there had been line crossing with a coworker prior to the trip, even if it wasn't physical yet. But even if there hadn't been, I've known coworkers' pet names for their significant others before when only interacting with them on a professional level. The fact that the guy both intentionally gave her a spicy kiss and used the pet name says a whole heck of a lot about him, though. Someone willing to engage in an affair is bad enough. This guy was doing it as some kind of sick power play. Unshot First 226 says it's also possible it's something super common like honey or baby. OP says no, it's a specific nickname. It's not derived from her name or anything. It just summed up things I loved about her in one word. Apparently he turned it into a spicy related context. And then Right to Make Kiwi says, one question, how close was the colleague to her to know her nickname that you use? And why did she let him this close to her literally and figuratively? OP says, at the time, I knew they had a friendship. She was asked to mentor him as he joined her department. So she took him under the wing and was supposed to be showing him the ropes. They would text and stuff, and he would cross boundaries. His text increasingly read like a guy fishing for an opportunity. My wife shut the idea down as not even a factor for her, and I chose to trust my wife because I never had a reason to doubt her before. As far as the nickname, it was something only I called her, but it wasn't like a secret thing. I called her by it in front of others and our daughter. She claims the guy overheard me say it when she had me on speaker once, and he asked her about it after. And there is an update. Thank you again to everyone. I, 27 male, couldn't respond to every message, but everything's appreciated. I wanted to provide an update. Things have been a little chaotic with the new status quo after my wife's 28 female affair, but I'm taking everything one step at a time. My wife and I explained the separation to our daughter, 4 female, in simple, concrete terms, and reassured her that we both still love her without going into the reasons behind the separation. Our daughter's always been an observant kid, but I don't think the separation has hit her yet. She doesn't see the difference between her mom not being home and her usual busy with work. During visits, she's more distant towards her mom and clings to me. My wife attempted to play with her on this toy set, but our daughter wasn't having it and shouted at her mom that she didn't want to play with her. The disconnect between my daughter and wife hurts in a way I'm still processing. I knew my wife's work-life balance took its toll. Pre-Vegas, we were supposed to be working on reconnecting, but just how fractured things are is a lot more apparent. Our daughter interacts very little with her mom and becomes quiet around her like she does with strangers. I feel at her age, we as her parents should be who she's closest with and not this disconnected from her mom.
Well, it's her fault.
Yeah, I mean, she's...
The 4-year-old is mad at her mom because she ditched her on her birthday.
Well, also, she probably isn't really thinking about her birthday anymore. She's probably just like, mom hasn't been here for a while.
And then when mom is here,
Yeah.
I don't know.
it's like very quiet.
It's weird.
Mom
Yeah.
and,
I gotta
mommy and daddy
imagine-
aren't like mommy and daddy.
I'm sure that's I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
just
think she
thinking-
remembers her birthday.
She was crying.
She's 4
Yeah,
years
she's
old.
4.
She's
Yeah,
4.
but it's like I feel like at that age,
She's over
I-
her birthday.
if at that age, it's like I remember that I cried. Mom made me cry.
Their dynamic is something I've been reflecting on. My main focus is making sure my daughter's okay through all of this. As far as between my wife and me, she's advocating for us to reconcile. She's expressed she wants to work on our marriage, not solely for our daughter, but because she loves me. Her rally cries for our relationship are still falling flat for me. I can't give her what she wants right now. I told her I wish she would give herself these rallies before cheating. She's adamant about the affair timeline and what occurred with coworker at 23 male. They connected because she felt bad he wasn't fitting in. He kept flirting and treating her like royalty. It started feeling good on the rougher work days. They had an emotional affair, even though she didn't label it as such at the time. The emotional affair turned physical during the retreat. She dissociated from her life back home while away in Vegas. She still swears they only slept together once. The spicy kiss came from foreplay, and while giving her oral, he called her my nickname for her, which shook her out of it.
I don't
No,
know,
she
dude.
disassociated from her family? What?
I mean, that would make sense because she literally was completely AWOL the entire time she was there. But like,
But that's not like, I don't think
Honey,
you
when
can
we're
say
in circus,
dissociation.
I just don't think.
That's just like, yeah, I didn't want to think about my family because I wanted to think about this.
yeah, was it clinical dissociation? I don't.
She snapped at him about his immature attitude with the spicy kiss. You're calling him immature? She thought she could quietly end things and salvage our marriage. I asked her if she wore her wedding ring during spicy sleep with him. She confessed that she did. Knowing this hurts like hell. To me, our wedding rings were a physical symbol of our love, commitment to our vows, and our bond. She tarnished our rings. I haven't been able to wear mine. It never hurts any less. There are just new levels to the hurt. She admits to contributing to blurred lines. Of course she did. She's now changed her number and claims to have cut contact with the coworker. She reported the affair to HR. The company has suspended both of them while they investigate the extent to which the affair impacted the department. Coworker relations violate their policy, and it doesn't look good for my wife in terms of power balance, and she was the guy's mentor. They're also calling into question if she gave him favoritism. Some have suggested I reach out to the coworker. I've considered it, but I'm not in a place to. I feel a lot of anger towards him. He knew exactly what he was doing with the spicy kiss and nickname stunt. I wouldn't get anything from him except trouble. He's not worth it. I've chosen to focus on my daughter. I've chosen to pursue marriage counseling. This isn't under the promise of reconciling, but as an assist in working through the separation as healthily as possible for our daughter. And you know what else will make your life as healthy as possible? Listening to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Story Times. There is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
Does she deserve sympathy? No. But is she still a human being? Yes.
I think that going to the marriage counseling is the best thing. And just like using it, it's like, no, this is probably not going to lead back into like a relationship together, but it is helping us parent. I'm still numb in a lot of ways. I never thought this would be how my marriage and my family turned out. I've seen it happen to others. I've heard stories. I thought I knew what it was like, but it's nothing compared to dealing with it yourself. I don't feel like the same person anymore. I don't know how everything will pan out. It's an uphill battle, but I'm trying to show up to the battle. It's the best I can do right now. And that is the end of that story.
Brighter days ahead.
Yeah,
OP, brighter days ahead.
it'll get easier. But we have another story, so we're going to get into it.
I prioritized my partner over my best friend. She thinks I betrayed her.
Well, she should find a new friend, I guess.
I, 31 male, met my best friend Veronica, female 46, 6 years ago. We clicked instantly. She was the best friend I always wanted as a teenager. We became sisters, quote unquote. I am queer. She met me right at the beginning of her separation from her cheating husband, and she was a stay-at-home wife until then. By the way, this comes from user Various Prize 5954, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So we were calling and messaging every day, spending a lot of time together, cooking, going out, partying, having sleepovers, watching movies, and so on. We were everywhere together, making plans for vacations, weekends, and more. Back then, I didn't have much of a dating life, and every time I tried something, it didn't last long. So once we became friends, I didn't have much chance to spend my time differently than with Veronica and some other friends. However, I felt she was becoming very dependent on me, and I encouraged her to get a job and make new friends, as this was what was best for her. I felt responsible for her well-being. I grew up taking care of my younger sister, so this is probably the reason, and I didn't like the feeling of her social life being dependent on me. We made a little group of friends where I spent a lot of time, and she got a job and met other people. I was still her main person and her best friend, and she was still mine. I was next to her all this time during the separation from her husband, helping her get over it and making her suffering much easier just by being me, making her laugh, calling her every day after work, staying with her on the phone for hours when she didn't feel well. Even when she had her period, I had to show support and endure all her tantrums, for which she didn't apologize because she didn't admit she was wrong. Buying her flowers or presents for different occasions, or just randomly when I was visiting her. I wanted her to feel special and to show my appreciation. Also, she was a good friend to me, taking care of me and showing up when I was sick or needed to talk to someone or was just disappointed in love. Things that best friends would do. Things were good for 3 years. Things started to change when I met my current boyfriend. We've been together for 3.5 years. She didn't like him from the beginning, just like that. They didn't click, and I think that's fine, which,
okay.
yeah, you should think that's fine because that's not her boyfriend.
She's not dating him. She's not dating him. It's fine.
They were respectful to each other and still had a good time when we were together partying, but never friends. Good. But once I met my boyfriend, Aaron, I liked to spend my time with him more and more. We made friends together, which I really liked to spend time with. But at the same time, I started to meet less and less with my other group of friends where Veronica was. Also, Veronica. She was still part of my life, and I met her every week. We were calling and messaging every day. I was more in contact with her than with my boyfriend, but I was spending my weekends with him. She said multiple times, why don't I invite her to the home parties where I was going? I tried a few times, but she was never easygoing. She had demands of the host or was being too loud, and I was tied to her. I couldn't decide to go home or do something else because she couldn't be left alone there. She asked me to stay with her a few good hours until she felt okay to go home. After all of this, I didn't want to invite her anymore. Yeah, I wouldn't either because it's like, what are you, a chaperone?
Yeah.
She started to complain more and more that we don't spend weekends together anymore as we used to, that we don't plan vacations, etc. I felt like I was in another relationship and actually had a girlfriend. She started to feel more and more depressed, and no matter what, I had to stay on the phone with her until she felt better. The issue is that many times she didn't say anything, but expected me to understand just like that. All of a sudden, I would realize she wasn't answering anymore. She was silent, treating me for days or weeks. When we started to discuss again, she would expect me to apologize, and if I asked what for, she would start to be passive-aggressive. Later on, when she told me she didn't feel well, she expected me to show up immediately. A few hours later wouldn't be good enough because she felt bad at that moment. These kinds of moments would happen every week or two. Now, looking back, I think it was only manipulation for attention. We had a lot of fights where we decided that we couldn't be friends anymore or couldn't be close friends anymore because I couldn't keep up with her expectations of me showing up in the relationship the way she wanted. Basically, I was the best friend she could ever wish for, her words, but it was still not enough. She couldn't explain. She wanted someone to share her life with, and I wasn't that person anymore. She even admitted that the real problem was that I didn't give her the attention I used to in the beginning. However, I tried to explain that friendships change, in my opinion, and people can grow apart.
And also, I think friendships are kind of like waves a little bit.
But we are still in each other's lives. We're in contact every day, and we know what's happening with our lives, and we are there for each other to support. This is what friendship is to me. Even at that point, I was still more in contact with her than with my partner, whom she often pretended didn't exist. Finally, she confessed she was in love with me.
Yep.
But dang, I was so wrong when I thought we could still be friends. It became more toxic, but I did my best to have empathy and compassion and help her move on. She couldn't understand that what she wanted from me was actually a boyfriend, and I couldn't give her that. She was gaslighting me, saying that her expectations, like calling her in the middle of the night because she felt sick due to her period or felt down for no reason, or making plans like we were living together, were actually friend level, and I was wrong when I felt that a boyfriend would take such responsibilities. Last year, 2023, my partner was away for a year in Australia. Also, things between me and Veronica got worse. I was still not able to meet her on weekends as she wanted, and she didn't feel important enough to me. Therefore, she told me we were done August 2023. We couldn't be close friends anymore, and we couldn't have a relationship anymore, but only with some other friends when the case deemed it appropriate. I accepted these conditions. Later on, a month later in September, I decided to go on a day trip with another friend. She mentioned the date when she would be celebrating her birthday, sometime in December. I told her that I wouldn't be able to come because I bought a ticket to visit Aaron, my boyfriend, and also have a vacation there. She knew how much I was waiting for the moment to visit my partner. I was able to meet him only twice before that trip due to long distance. I live in Germany. Oh, wow. I explained how important the trip was for me and how much of an opportunity and once-in-a-lifetime occasion it was. We decided to go to New Zealand. She didn't take it well and instantly zoned out. She called me later that evening telling me that I knew how important her birthday was to her. I knew that, but also that trip was very important to me, but she didn't care. I want to mention that every year since I met her, I made her birthday really special. I put effort into finding out what she really wanted every year in such a way that she could never suspect that I would actually get it. She was surprised every time. I would spend the whole weekend with her and make her favorite cake together, which takes 3 to 4 hours. Stay until the end of the party every time and clean up her flat, even sleep there and wake up with her and have breakfast.
Dude, you're boyfriending too hard.
I convinced the people that were planning on coming they could come and stay or leave the party when they wanted, all so she could feel special and celebrate it. But this one time I couldn't be there, she decided to come to my door, ring the bell continuously, and call and message me to open the door. She needed 5 minutes to discuss. She showed up unannounced, and I didn't open. Yeah, that's not how you show up to talk to people.
Nope. You call. Say ring ring, hello.
A few days later, I invited her to discuss, but she didn't want that. Her goal was to interrogate me. When did I get my ticket? Why didn't I consult with her before? Why the dates when she was celebrating her birthday? She wanted to make a story in her mind, and she believes I intentionally picked the dates so I couldn't come to her celebration. Although she was clear from before that we were not close anymore, she still had expectations from me.
She's like, you're not my best friend anymore, but also I have the same expectations that I did from before.
With that being said, she told me this was a deal breaker for her. Knowing how important her birthday was to her and deciding to go on vacation with my partner, that's the deal breaker.
Ay, ay, ay.
Before going on vacation, I went with flowers for her birthday, and she complained that I just gave her the present, but no emotion. I didn't even stay to talk, I just left after 10 minutes. Later, I realized that I was rewarding her behavior, like in many other past situations, because I am a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Now, 1 month after her birthday, it's my birthday.
What? No way.
No way. You have a birthday, OP?
And I bet she did all the same things for you, right?
And she is traveling the date I want to party. I made the invitation in the friend group, and she said twice that she couldn't attend that weekend, indicating which weekend she was free. Now it's been a few months since the celebration, and mostly my friends are actually on her side, saying that her expectation that I would call Veronica before booking my flight to double check with her that it's okay that I won't be in town for her party. I don't find this to be right. Also, I understood that in her mind, we were still besties and I would have had the responsibility to be present on her birthday. If I was still best friends, then most probably I would have called her to inform her before booking my ticket, but we were not. We had discussions where I clearly stated that I don't want to be put in that category because I can't fulfill that role anymore. Yeah, and she said she's in love with you, dog.
Yeah, and she said she's in love with you.
Even so, honestly, every year I made her birthday special. that I could have gotten a little bit of understanding, but she chose not to. Also, she didn't like the fact that I booked my ticket in August and I only told her about it at the end of September. And in her opinion, I was a mischievous coward. Wow.
Were those the words she used? You're a mischievous coward.
I was scared of her reaction, and I wanted to wait for the right time to give her the news, knowing that no matter what, it won't be the right approach. Afterwards, she said our friends agreed and were also disappointed that I didn't even propose to change the date of the party, and it showed that I don't actually have any interest in her birthday. If you have interest in listening to full episodes with stories like this one, all you gotta do is go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just search OK Storytime, and you can have the whole OK Storytime world in your hands. Just in a device, just like that. In my opinion, it was her party, and if she wanted me to be there, she could have proposed to change it. I don't find it right for me to propose that because it was not my party. Yeah, that's the rules of partying. In the exact situation I was in a few years ago, and when I heard some friends were not in town on my weekend party, I proposed to change the date because I wanted them to be next to me. After all this, am I the a-hole for wanting to exclude my best friend from my life and from my birthday party? Well, we've already determined that she's not your best friend.
Yeah.
So
we're good.
You're fine.
You're good. My boyfriend thinks my family is weird because we invited him on the family vacation.
That is the nicest thing that they could do.
So incredibly sweet. I, 20 female, and my boyfriend, 22 male, have been in a relationship for just under 2.5 years. I was under the impression that his family liked me a lot and that my family like him a lot as well. We got back from a family vacation just 2 days ago, and I'm feeling conflicted about it now. By the way, this comes from Anonymous 3350 on the r/Okie Storytime subreddit. So to get to the story, my family invited my boyfriend to come on vacation with us for 3 days out of our home state. It wasn't anything extravagant, just a small little trip where we went hiking and sightseeing, etc. Me, my sister, my brother, and my boyfriend drove separately from my mom, dad, and grandparents. While we were driving, my boyfriend asked my siblings if they would be uncomfortable if their SOs invited them on a trip like this. My brother said that if he had only been with them for a short time, then yeah, but given our circumstances, no. Since I was the one driving, I just stayed quiet. I'll be honest, it hurt my feelings a lot, but I didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. I'm quite an overthinker. When we got to the hotel we were staying at, my boyfriend just looked like he didn't want to be there. And so I asked him if he was having fun, to which he said, no, I really just don't want to be here. I was honestly taken aback because I didn't really know what to say. I started to tear up and just walked away. The rest of the trip was just silence between us and awkward conversations between him, my dad, and my mom, as they didn't realize anything was wrong. I didn't say anything to anyone because I didn't want to ruin the mood or cut the trip short. But when we got back home, I tried talking to him about it. He said that he was just shocked he got invited to something like this and that his parents also thought it was weird. I just kind of stared at him for a second because I literally didn't understand what was so weird about it. I said if he didn't want to go or felt uncomfortable with going, he didn't have to. And he just kind of shrugged. I just asked him to leave my house and we would talk later because I was so shocked and hurt that he and his family would call me and my family weird, all for inviting him on a small trip with my family. I'm super close with his family, and it's not like he doesn't know any of mine. Is it really weird to invite my boyfriend of 2.5 years to a small vacation? And there are some comments and an update. No, it's not weird.
Yeah.
Your boyfriend and his family are weird for making it such a big deal.
Right. And then I feel like what will happen with that is like you're making it awkward by saying some rude things about you not wanting to be there. And then I feel like he's probably just going to complain afterwards, being like, yeah, it was so awkward and like weird. Like I shouldn't have been there. It's like, dude, you were absolutely contributing to that.
Winter Travel 5749 says your boyfriend and his family sound weird.
Period.
You and your family sound fun, inclusive, and thoughtful.
There you go.
Tiki Bird says, exactly. We invited our daughter's boyfriend on a family reunion trip with my immediate side of the family. They were 23 and we all had a great time. All Kinds of Pieces says, yes, when my first husband and I were dating, he passed away after 8 years of our being married. I went on every trip his family took. Beach trips, 10 hours away, etc. I went with his mom and him. I went with his sister and brother-in-law, etc. We were madly in love and everybody knew we'd be married. There was no keeping us apart from the minute we met. Where one of us was, the other was there. His family was my family and mine was his. I think the boyfriend and his family are strange here. I don't see the problem. And if boyfriend thought it was weird, why did he go?
There you go.
Why are you going to go and just make people feel bad?
Yeah.
And there is another update. Hi all, I feel like it's kind of cliche to say that I didn't really expect for this to get as much attention as it did. I appreciate everyone taking the time to respond to me and let me know that I am in fact not crazy about this. For the update, I'm going to try to answer as many questions as possible. I have not fully gotten to sit down and talk with my boyfriend yet. We spoke briefly later last night after I had made my post about how he severely hurt my feelings with what he had said. He apologized, but it honestly just felt forced. We haven't spoken any more about it yet. For some questions like what culture are we from, we do not have any kind of ethnic background and neither of our families are religious at all. We've spent the night at each other's houses, and to my knowledge, he wasn't opposed to that at all. For those of you asking if he was uncomfortable about the low-cost vacation, I have no idea. His family doesn't often take vacations, but not because they can't afford it, I just don't think they want to. For those of you asking about our communication skills, this has been an outstanding problem for the majority of our relationship. I try explaining to him that we can solve problems sooner if he's open and honest, but sometimes he just doesn't speak his mind before it's too late. And last, he is very close with his family, but he was always very worried that my family didn't like him. It truly just felt like a slap in the face when he didn't want to be there, as I feel like this is a surefire way to say we like you from my family. For those wondering, I do want to save this relationship if possible. I love my boyfriend and we've been through a lot together and I don't want to let go of him. And before this mess, everything was fine. I just don't know what happened here. I'll give another update whenever me and him actually sit down and talk, but I figured I'd answer some questions while I'm here. Once again, thank you everyone. And there are some comments and another update, but any thoughts?
I just think he's really lame.
I think so.
I mean, especially like with the like shrugging. Just
He's
like,
no, I don't know.
I don't know.
Just
It's
didn't
like,
think people did that.
yeah, it's just like you're rude, first of all. But like
Wow.
besides that, you're just a boring dude.
Yeah, why waste life being boring like this
Yeah.
guy? You
Like,
know?
Come on.
Comments. PJs are comfy says, this may seem an odd question, but does he call you his girlfriend and introduce you that way to others? Have you discussed what your relationship looks like down the road and next steps? His response is so odd. I'm just wondering if it's possible you two are viewing the relationship differently. And there is another update a day later. Hey everyone, I just got done talking with my boyfriend and I have a lot to say. This will most likely be my last update unless something huge happens, mostly because I've already come to the conclusion that this has completely opened my eyes. To start, I've seen many comments addressing a post I made a year ago. I'm not going to go too far into it as that post was a lot more dramatic and quite frankly embarrassing to me. But yes, it was about the same boyfriend and it was about the same communication error. I'll admit that I have attachment issues which doesn't help my situation. While I'm close with my family, I don't really talk to them about relationship issues because they usually don't take it very seriously. This is just their way of lightening the mood, I guess. Other than my family, I don't have a very good support system, especially when it comes to my relationships. For those who told me to have a little more self-respect, thank you for that, but also be kind. You never know what people are going through. Quite frankly, I don't have a lot of self-respect, but for my own issues, which I'm not going to talk about anymore. For the update, I spoke to my boyfriend and it went anything other than good.
No.
Oh no.
No.
That's not positive. I told him once again that it hurt my feelings with what he had said during the trip and to my brother, and he said, it isn't as serious as I think it is.
Ugh.
He also said that I was dragging this out when I didn't need to, which really was an eye-opener. Considering we didn't talk about it for more than maybe 30 minutes last night and 5 minutes the day we got home, I don't think I'm dragging it out. But okay. I told him that he made me feel small. He said he was just shocked that he would get invited to something like that and felt like a part of the family. That's not what he said. Now he's switching it up. I asked him why he said he didn't want to be there and why he asked my siblings questions like that, if he was feeling happy and a part of the family. And he just said he effed up and said dumb crap, then apologized.
Right. Like,
then say, oh my God, I'm sorry. I didn't expect it, but then I realized that I actually was having a lot of fun and I shouldn't have said that. Don't just be like, it's nothing serious. He also told me that he's not worried about it and hopes I get over it soon, which I will, but not with him by my side.
there you go. Let's go.
Drop him. A lot of people told me that coming onto Reddit was a bad idea simply because all people would tell me that I need to leave him and I should have just communicated with them. However, I feel like if I had just had this conversation without the hundreds of people telling me I wasn't crazy or reading the situation wrong, I wouldn't have decided to end things. I'm grateful to all of you who took the time to post, and you're welcome to call me dumb for not nipping this in the bud when I first knew I was unhappy. It's now my time to start healing and moving on because 500 strangers on the internet told me I deserve better, so I'm gonna listen this time. Comments. New Mom 1989 says, a piece of advice to everyone out there in the ether. Someone who casually disregards your feelings and blows you off when you try to bring up something important to you, even if they don't think it's a big deal, is not a good partner. I'm not saying you need to break up with this person immediately, but you should understand that they are a bad partner who cares minimally about you and proceed accordingly. The Sugar Plum Fairy says, he also told me that he's not worried about it and hopes I get over it soon. That's how you know how little he cares about your feelings. What a weird guy. Opie says, oh, and I don't know how I forgot to add this in the update, but one of the shining quotes after he told me I'm dragging this out was, you're acting like I effed your mom or something. And When His Leap says, what a keeper. Sarcasm.
Yeah.
Glad you tried talking it out with him so that you know it isn't your fault. It's just him being a weirdo and you can let go of him without any guilt. You tried to talk about it and save the relationship. It's always good to know if it won't work out ASAP so you can move on with your life. And there's another update, and I hope it's
boy.
he left forever and then I found the man of my dreams.
Yes.
And also I became the president of or the CEO of a huge company.
Yeah.
Now I'm rich.
Yeah. I think you cracked it. I think you just guessed
Nailed
it.
it.
Let's find out.
Another tiny update 15 hours later. Hi all, I know I said my last post would be my last update unless something big happens, but I feel like after reading and responding to the comments, I found myself becoming bitter and emotional over the situation. This is more just a true off my chest sort of deal. When I look at your comments, my heart aches with how stupid I was for spending over 2 years with someone who didn't value me. And now I'm struggling with the fact that I actually miss him, or at least I miss who I thought he was. I will not go back, but I just can't help but feel like I could have saved it if I tried more. I know that's ignorant and naive, but the breakup just happened yesterday and now I'm feeling the aftermath. I'm not sure why these feelings are coming to me now, as I'm not sure that I'm really much lonelier outside of the relationship than I was inside of it. I just wish I had more things or more people to surround myself with. I've thought about starting to go to the gym to hopefully meet new people and get myself into a schedule to fill up the time, maybe go experience some shopping therapy. I feel like it's just going to be a couple of weeks of pampering myself before I feel okay enough to move on with my life. It's going to take a minute.
Yeah, they always do.
I feel like everybody needs at least a week to be disappointed and upset about how their life is going right now. You do. Take that week to just sob and then we'll bounce back.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, thanks for listening to my rant. This is seriously my last post and I'm going to start focusing on myself now rather than living in this disgusting situation. Thanks again. We would love if you could start focusing on us by joining us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. Just tap our profile.
Just tap a profile.
We're probably live right now.
Yeah.
Go check. And there is a little bit more, but any final thoughts?
I just think, you go, girl.
You go,
You
girl.
don't need no man. You're an independent woman.
You're a strong, independent lady.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just
And
those-
also to the point of maybe I could have done something to save it. If there was a way to save the relationship, it would have happened.
Yeah, that was the best advice I've gotten in the past is if it would have worked out, it
would have worked out.
Would have worked out.
P.S. For those wondering how my boyfriend responded to the breakup, I actually thought he would last 2 days without trying to guilt trip me with pictures and memories of us. But just 5 minutes ago, he called me and tried to get me to realize my mistake. I don't know. Hopefully he gets over it soon because he's kind of dragging it out. And to those who are going to tell me to block him, I still have a lot of his things and need to return them first after I'll block him. That is the end of that story.
All right.
Lovely. I'm so happy that OP
Yes.
broke up with that man.
Yes, I love all these stories of people standing up for themselves.
Stand up for themselves. Don't let people walk over you.
Yeah.
But that is the end of that story
Woo.
and the end of this episode.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
and see you tomorrow.